Okay. The hearing of the Committee of Public Accounts and the Committee of Good Government and Public Accountability is hereby called to order. From the last time, nagkaroon lang po tayo ng suspension ng ating hearing. So we do not need to go through the order of business in the opening of a hearing. Pero bago po tayo magsimula, nais ko lang pong kilalanin ang mga kinatawan na nandito nakasama po natin sa plenaryo ng ating mababang kapulungan. We have here Deputy Speaker Dan Fernandez, Congressman Argel Kabatbat of the Magsasaka Party List, and we also have the President of the National Unification Party, the Honorable Congressman P.D. Barsaga. So to start our session, gusto ko lang po magkaroon ng kaunting summation of some of the points that were discussed the last time. And at the same time, we will open the interpellation. Bubuksan po natin ang mga diskusyon ukol dito sa mga issues, iba't ibang issues tungkol sa PhilHealth. Ang ating po mga kasama, binigyan natin pagkakataon na magtanong sila kung ano man po yung mga puntos na hindi pa nila natapos. At kasama rin po dito ang diskusyon sa mga ospital na naimbitahan po natin. So before we start, let me recognize Attorney Marivic, our COMSEC, to recognize the members of the committee who are with us in Zoom and our guests this afternoon. Attorney Marivic.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good afternoon to our members and to our guests. Joining us via Zoom are the following members: Representative Chodorico Jaresco Jr., Representative Stella Kimbo, Representative Emery Owano Dizon, Representative Sara Ilago, and Representative Gabriel Bordado Jr. We also have Deputy Speakers Deogracia Sabellano and Deputy Speaker Aurelio Gonzalez Jr. For our resource person, in plenary today, we have the following Senior Vice President Lim Siaco, Dennis Mas, Dr. Pargas, Mr. Labe, and Senior Vice President Aragona, and Senior Vice President Nerissa Santiago. We also have with us today Corporate Secretary Attorney Joseph Mangawang, and board members we have the following board members. Don't have the list. Via Zoom, we have the Philippine Hospital Association, headed by Dr. Jaime Almora, Petronilo Ciares Hospital, the Notre Dame de Chartres Hospital, AMLC. We also have representative from the Commission on Audit, DBM, Department of Foreign Affairs, BTR. Yeah, nurse.
Thank you so much, Attorney Marivic Castillon, the Committee Secretary of the Committee on Good Government and Public Accountability. Before I start, let me just ask Ms. Neri Santiago, di po ba binanggit ninyo doon sa huling nating discussion nung hearing na nagwo-worry kayo doon sa ating pondo ng PhilHealth? More or less, I think you still have about 100 billion plus?
Mr. Chair, it's about 110 billion in terms of reserve fund as of December 2019.
110 billion. At doon sa huli nating discussion, sinasabi nyo because of this COVID na ang tingin ninyo baka maubos ang pondong to sa sa pagsasaayos o yung mga kinakailangan mga bayarin sa pagbayad ng mga pasyente ng COVID?
Yun po ay based on dun sa assumptions na mga projections po ng probable na mababayaran po pagdating sa COVID. In addition to the implementation of the UHC po for this year and next year.
So kasama na po ang COVID at kasama na rin po yung implementasyon ng UHC law na kung saan sakop at ibang sakit. So that, because of that, yung dapat na 10 years projection, maaring next year, maubos na ang pondo natin.
May posibilidad po. Depende po sa ipapasok ng gobyerno at the same time, dun po sa pasok ng pera from the direct contributors po.
Okay, so if I may show the slide please, nung presentation, and this is just a short summary before we begin. Ito po yung interim reimbursement mechanism. At gusto ko pong particular, tanungin si SP Pargas. Di ba sabi niyo po, SP Pargas, na yung mga probable suspect ay kasama doon sa maaring kabilang na mga pasyenteng dapat bayaran sa COVID?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Yes, please. So if we may go to the next slide. Tama po yung sinabi niyo, SP Pargas. Ito po ang inyong video kasama ang Chairman ng Public Information, Congressman Ron Salo, na kung saan pinag-usapan. Oh, I'm sorry, HREP. Can we go back to the video? Can we play it? Go ahead.
Yun pong ating circular, sumusunod din po tayo dun sa classification na may probable and suspect. So kung ang initial presentation po would be for the COVID, yan po ay kasama dun sa ating circular po on COVID cases.
So ibig sabihin po, hindi yung kailangang ma-confirm. Kasi based dito sa circular, kailangan confirm ang nakasulat po doon. So ano po ba talaga?
Mr. Chair, tatlo po yan. Meron pong suspect, probable, and confirmed. So pagka po ang pasyente ay na-manage accordingly, kung ito po ay COVID case, especially po nung mga una na wala pa po halos tayong enough or madami na testing facilities, yan po ay covered ng ating COVID cases. Pero kaya po
Malinaw po, no? Yung binanggit ni SP Pargas na yung probable, suspect at confirmed ay kasama sa programang ito. Next slide. Next slide, please. So, ito po yung PhilHealth circular na binabanggit nila. Benefit packages for inpatient care of probable and confirmed COVID-19 developing severe illness outcomes. Yan po yung 2020-009. Next slide, please. Nakalagay po dyan, number 1, suspect case is a person who is presenting with any of the following conditions: severe acute respiratory infection, where no other etiology fully explains the clinical presentation. Ang nakakatakot po dyan yung number 2B, yung sinabi lang with contact to a confirmed or probable case of COVID-19.
Yes.
Tama po ba yan, Mr. Pargas?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
So ito pong dito sa Kongreso, may mga kasamahan kami na nag-positive o yung mga probable, yun lang pong nakasama ko siya sa isang kwarto at siguro nagkaubo ako o pumunta akong ospital, nagpa-check up ako sa ibang problema at sinabi ng ospital na COVID, maaari na po siyang i-count as one of those under the package. Tama, Mr. Pargas?
Ito po yung definition natin ng suspect cases. Pero kung titingnan po natin, doon po sa ating packages for the inpatient, katulad po halimbawa, kung ikaw ay may mild symptoms of the pneumonia, nakalagay din po doon na ang pwede po nating bayadan are those who are in the elderly or with comorbidities.
Simple question, Mr. Pargas. Ang sinasabi ko nga, wag naman sana si Congressman Kabatbat, naging probable, napalapit ako sa kanya, pumunta ako ng ospital at sinabi ko na ito yung sitwasyon at syempre, kunyari inuubo ako, maaari na akong makasama doon sa cases na to.
Again, Mr. Chair, hindi rin po kasi kung umuubo lang po kayo and all, kasama po dun sa ating, so kung considered po as mild, ang atin pong consideration, meron po tayong nakasulat na in the elderly or with comorbidities. Otherwise po, papasok po tayo either doon sa hindi kailangang ma-confine na kung saan meron po tayo ng community isolation package.
Anyway, Mr. Pargas, I do not understand what you're saying because again, if you look at the slide, 1, 2, and 3. Hindi po sinabing dapat may comorbidity ka, hindi sinabing dapat senior ka. Pakita ko natin ulit ang slide. Yan po, 1, 2, and 3. With contact to a confirmed or probable case with no other etiology that fully explains the clinical presentation. So yan po.
Yes, Mr. Chair. Pero quinalify po natin doon sa circular dahil nga po may pagkakataon na hindi naman kailangang ma-confine or walang comorbidities na maaaring mas maging magpalala doon sa sakit na kaya po yung mga mild ay na with comorbidities or elderly, yun po yung babayadan lang natin for confinement.
Where is that in the circular?
Mr. Chair,
Okay,
kindly
before you answer, Mr. Pargas, i-present ko na rin tapos sagutin mo isa sa probable cause. Sinabi niyo po, probable. Next slide, please. Nakalagay po dyan, suspect who underwent testing, suspect case from laboratory testing for COVID-19 is inconclusive. Suspect for testing could not be performed for any reason. Letter B, probable cause. Tama po ba yan?
Yes po. Ito po yung mga definition of terms, Mr. Chair.
Exactly.
Yes po.
So confirmed case naman, hindi na natin pagdidibatihan, nagkaroon ka ng confirmation. Now, Mr. Pargas, ito po yung mga packages. Next slide, please. Yan na po. Matagal na pinag-usapan yan. 43,000, 143,000, 333,000, and 786,000. No debate. Tama po yan, Mr. Pargas. Ano po?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Next slide. Ang sabi po ng Department of Health, we have 173,774 cases. Kung tama po tayo, Mr. Pargas, yung pong 80% ng mild, positive na ho to, papasok na po siya sa package ng 43,997.
Mr. Chair, katulad po ng inyong ipinakita na slide prior to this, yun pong may mga pakete, nakalagay po doon yung sa severity.
No, I'm just, binalagay ko na sa pinakamababang package of 43,000. Dahil positive sila, dapat, di ba, nandun sila sa 43,000.
Yung positive po, as confirmed, yes po.
Okay. So tama yan. 6 billion 89,184,800. Is that correct? At 43,000 lang po yan. Hindi ko nilalagay yan ng moderate.
Kung yan po yung mga naka-confine for the packages, yes po. Yan po maaari yung babayadan natin.
Okay. Next slide. Confirmed cases at 20% na lang ho to. Ginawa ko, 20%, 90% ay ginawa ko lang na severe. Severe lang, 90%. Hindi ko ginawang critical dahil mas mahal. So, 31,278 cases times 333,509. That is 10,431,807,282 pesos. Tama po ba yan?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Thank
Kung
you.
yan po yung mga confine.
At kung ginawa ko naman dun sa nalalabing 34,754, gagawin ko pong 10%. That's 3,475 cases. That's 2.7 billion pesos. 2,732,684,400 pesos. Tama po ba yan?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Kung yan po yung stats.
So lumalabas po, dito lang po sa programa natin, 19,253,676,482 pesos. Versus, dun sa pinag-uusapan na po natin na at the most, it should be about 4 billion pesos. So tama ho si actually Neri, kung pagbabatayin tong ginawa ninyong polisiya, you will hit 20 billion. Considering the present case. Tama po?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
At gagawin ko pa ho, gagawa lang ako ng 300,000 na suspect at probable. Total ng 300,000 cases ng suspect at probable 13,199,100,000 pesos. Tama po ba yan?
Mr. Chair, kung ito po ay papasok doon sa criteria ng moderate or severe or critical, yun po yung maaaring maibayad sa kanila. Hindi po ito ibig sabihin na porke suspect or probable lamang. Because yun
Hindi
pong
po
ating-
sila confirmed. Hindi sila confirmed COVID because we already have the confirmed. Ginawa na po natin yon. But ang nakalagay po sa inyo, suspect and probable.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
So pwede ito. Tama.
Yes po. Basta,
Thank you.
opo,
Thank you.
managed po as COVID.
At pagka ginawa ko na pong pinagsama-sama ko lahat, next slide please. You put 19 billion plus 13 billion together, that is 32 billion pesos. Nilagay ko lang ho sa 300,000 yung suspect and probable. So Mr. Chair, the last time I was calling for the withdrawal of the IRM funds, I think we should rethink our position. Ang sinabi lang natin, suspend. Nakakatakot po masyado at talaga po mauubos ang pondo ng PhilHealth. Policy pa lang ho, nagsisimula sa policy ang corruption. When you have a wrong policy, dun po lumalabas yung corruption. Kaya po when we started with the PhilHealth, now we will go to the hospitals, makikita po natin, and I've seen the cases that you have submitted to this committee, yung corruption na nangyari sa hospitals. Hindi ko po sasabihin kung may connivance o wala. Pero ang unang-unang mali, Dr. Pargas, is the policy. Para niyo pong sinabi na pagka ikaw ay may ginawang pagnanakaw, pero ang pagnanakaw mo is less than 5,000, hindi i-consider na krimen, maraming magnanakaw ng less than 5,000. Parang ganito po yung nangyari dito. Pinayagan niyo yung polisiya at dito lalabas ang korupsyon. At tama, si Actuary Neri Santiago, given this policy, I would have the same conclusion. Ubos ang pondo ng PhilHealth pag nangyari ito. So with that,
Mr. Chair?
Mr. Pargas?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Please be noted also po na ito po yung ating initial policy, but we also have reviewed because during that time po, wala pa pong mga clear guidelines or clear clinico-pathologic guidelines para po dito sa paggagamot ng ating novel disease na SARS-CoV. So kaya po noon ay ang atin pong sinusunod ay yung mga guidelines na patuloy naman po na nababago. Kaya po ito ay nire-review din po natin and technically meron na po tayong review. However, it as approved also by the board, it will have to go through the expert panel para nga po mabago din po natin yung ating mga pakete. At sa ngayon po,
Mr. Pargas, if I
yes,
may
sir.
just quickly cut you, alam nyo ho, maniniwala sana ako, if not for the track record. Ngayong umaga ho, tatanungin ko na kayo, and these were the documents submitted to me. Yung mga suspended cases po ninyo, di ba ho, may mga fine and suspension kayo, tama po ba? Tama po, di ba? So ikaw gumagawa ka ng policy, yung legal gumagawa ng mga enforcement, yung mga fraud. Tama? Investigation.
yes, Mr. Chair.
At ang inyong mga parusa ay suspension and fine. Tama po ba? Yung iba, fine. Yung iba, suspension. Iba, suspension and fine. Tama po?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
O ngayon ho, ngayong umaga lang, sasabihin ko, sino ho ang legal dito? Para lang i-debunk ko, Mr. Pargas, yung sinasabi mo nga na inaayos nyo naman lahat. Sino po dito ang legal? Andito ba si Attorney Del Rosario? Okay, mabilis lang ho. Anyway, isang opisina lang naman po kayo dyan. Alam niyo po ba na ang WellMed, fine lang ang isinampa nyo? Hindi nyo sinampahan ng kahit anong kaso? You have 202 facilities ng fine and you have other facilities na merong suspension and fine. In the case of WellMed, nakapending pa sa board. Hindi pa niya binabayaran ng fine at hindi nyo po siya sinuspend. Now, how can you talk about policy? Since 2013, you had pneumonia. You never corrected it. By 2015, na-correct nyo na dapat yan. I have your own study, yung analytics ninyo ng mga cases. And this was reported to the board. You never changed that policy. Kung ito po hindi nakita ng Kongreso at ng Senado, ang kinakatakot ko at mabuti nandito tayo ngayon at nakita natin, yung pulisyang yan baka hindi na bago. At yung kinakatakot natin pagkaubos ng pondo ay baka po talagang nangyari. Pero nandito po kami, binabantayan namin yan at itutuloy natin yung investigasyon. So with that, can I go to the President of the National Unification Party, the Honorable Barsaga, to proceed with this interpellation?
Maraming salamat, Mr. Chairman. Unang-una, I would just like to make a very short observation. Nakikita ng ating mamamayan ang paghihiring na ginagawa ng Senado at ng House of Representatives. At nakikita rin nila, base sa kanilang konklusyon, na maraming anomalya, maraming graft and corruption na nangyayari sa PhilHealth, involving not only millions of pesos, but billions of pesos. Kaya kahit sa social media, pati na yung mga nakakausap ko, ang sabi nila, kung pwede, kung ganyan lamang ang nangyayari sa PhilHealth, hindi na kami magbabayad ng aming contribution anyway under the law, whether we pay or not, entitled kami sa PhilHealth benefits. Ang sabi ko sa kanila, lalong lalala ang problema natin sa PhilHealth kung hindi kayo magbabayad. At asahan nyo naman sa aming mga investigasyon, pati na sa ahensya ng executive, we are doing our very best na kung sino ang nagkasala, kinakailangang parusahan. At nakita na naman natin, last night, lumabas ang balita na marami ng opisyales ng PhilHealth had been the subject of preventive suspension of the Ombudsman. Ang sinasabi nga lang natin, this is just the tip of the iceberg. Ito pa ang pinakamahinang aksyon ng ating pamahalaan. And based on that opening statement, ang lagi natin pinag-uusapan ay yung pandemya, the COVID case. Sa PhilHealth Circular 2020-007, nakalagay rito, subject, guidelines on the provision of special privileges to those affected by fortuitous event. Sa third paragraph ng first page, that pursuant to PhilHealth Board Resolution number 2496, series of 2020, the corporation hereby issues the following guidelines that shall be applied to those affected by fortuitous event. Malinaw na malinaw sa circular number 2220-007 na itong ating IRM ay applicable lamang doon sa mga asuntong o kaso na involving fortuitous event coronavirus. At mismong sa sinabit niyong dokumento, minutes of the PHIC board meeting, regular, dated March 31, 2020, sa last paragraph ng page number 8, last paragraph, board action. With BM Mercado moving for the approval and BM Padua and ASEC Diwani seconding the motion, the board approved the nationwide release of 27 billion, 22 million as part of the IRM fund to healthcare institutions affected by COVID-19. Pati na sa inyong mga bulletin, pati na sa inyong press releases, sinasabi nyo itong IRM is in order to address the COVID problem. Pero sa aming nakita, dialysis centers, binigyan nyo ng IRM. Private birthing facilities, binigyan nyo ng IRM. At base sa submission nyo ngayon, pati infirmaries, binigyan nyo ng IRM. Tama ba yun, Dr. Bragas?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Yes. At sa isang pangkaraniwang abogado, base sa mga dokumentong ito, you would be liable already for technical malversation or illegal use of public funds. Sa technical malversation, kahit kausapin nyo ang mga kaibigan nyong abogado, good faith is not a valid defense. As long as public funds were used for a purpose different for which it was originally intended, you are liable for technical malversation. So lahat ng pumirma sa cheque, lahat ng pumirma sa mga accompanying documents, they would be liable. And it would be easy to convict. Ipapakita lamang itong regulations nyo for COVID, ipapakita lamang yung mga cheque na binigay nyo sa dialysis center, pati na roon sa mga private birthing facilities, pati na roon sa mga ospital na hindi nagtitreat ng COVID, you would already be liable based on the documents. And you will be subjected to so many cases. Ngayon, ang pinoproblema lang natin, binanggit na ng ating chairman, policy making. Policy nyo ba rin sa IRM na yung may mga pending cases, binigyan nyo pa rin ng IRM? Totoo ba yun o hindi? Dr. Bragas, kahit na may pending cases sa PhilHealth, binigyan nyo rin ng IRM.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Oh, hindi nyo ba ginawang policy that in order to protect public funds, yan namang may mga kasong sa atin, wag na muna natin bigyan ng IRM?
The agreement then, sir, was even those with cases without prejudice to the actions that the corporation
Okay,
will
in
do
writing
after.
ba yan? In writing. May papakita kayong dokumento in writing na kayo ay nagkasundo na yung may pending cases pwedeng bigyan ng IRM.
In our EXICOM meeting, sir.
O excuse na naman kayo, dali nyo dokumento. Next question. We reviewed all your fund releases. Sa Region 6 ba, may binigyan kayo ng IRM?
Meron po, Mr. Chair.
You are testifying under oath.
Yes, sir. Western
O
Visayas.
ilan ang binigyan yung public and private hospital sa Region 6?
Isa po, Western Visayas Medical Center. Western Visayas Medical Center. Isa po.
Ilan ang public at private hospital sa Region 6?
Mr. Chair, I will just check the record.
Oh, hindi nyo masabi? Ang problema nga rito, limitado ang oras namin. Ako pa magsasabi sa inyo kung ilan. Sa Region 6, you have 215. 79 private, 136 ang public. Ang binigyan nyo lamang isang public hospital. Tama ba?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
O is that also in your policy na sa Region 6, isa lamang ang bibigyan natin?
No, Mr. Chair.
Ha?
No,
O
Mr. Chair.
ano ang inyong explanation? Hindi nyo kasundo ang Regional Vice President ng Region 6. Kaya hindi nyo binigyan. Pati mga kapwa, pati kapwa naming congressman nagko-complain na bakit sa Region 6, isang ospital lamang.
West Attorney Labet, because he's the one who actually checked on those
Hindi
applications.
nga, policy nga natin to eh.
Mr. Chair, because ang atin pong polisiya, accordingly dun sa
Okay, you explain in writing, under oath, kung bakit sa Region 6 yung isa binigyan. Next question. How long have you been connected sa PhilHealth, Dr. Bragas?
1999, Mr. Chair.
Oh, so veterano ka na rito.
Mr. Chair.
Yes. And you are the head of the policy making as of now.
As of now, Mr.
Okay. Sa case rate, you have the implementing rules and regulations.
Of the
You
circular,
have. Meron o wala?
we have the circular, sir.
O the circular. Sa inyo bang circular, merong nakalagay na kung ang gastos sa isang ospital kasama ang professional fee ay mas mababa kaysa sa case rate, kinakailangan yung bayaran ang case rate kahit na mababa ang gastos sa ospital?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Okay, you cite that provision. You answered yes, na kahit na mababa ang hospitalization expenses sa case rate, kinakailangan bayaran nyo in each and 30.
Yes.
You cite to us the provision right now kasi hinahanap ko, hindi ko makita. I'll go back to you after 10 minutes. I would be asking my question sa COA. Sa COA?
COA is recognized, Comsec. Who do we have for COA?
Yes, Your Honor.
Good afternoon po.
Hi, ma'am. Good afternoon. Go ahead.
Good afternoon po. Can you hear me, sir?
Aha, we can hear
Yes.
you, ma'am.
okay
Conversaga
po.
will be asking the
Ano pangalan
questions.
niya?
Yes, Kong. Yes, Congressman Barsaga po.
Go.
Director Tuason.
Opo.
Yes po.
Due to limited time, I was able to go over your COA report for the last 3 years. Limitado ang oras ko, 3 cases lamang ang aking i-mention. Number 1, based on your observation, yung collection ng authorized collecting agents ng PhilHealth do not tally because there are certain documents katulad ng tinatawag na PhilHealth accredited receipts na hindi maisubmit sa inyo. Totoo po ba na yon ay isa sa inyong findings?
Okay. Totoo po yun, sir, but I can speak only of the 2018 annual audit report because I have no personal knowledge on the 2016 and 2017 because at that time po, I was still with the COA Regional Office number 4A, Calabarzon. I was then the regional director and I am not yet assigned with the Corporate Audit Office,
Okay.
specifically on class.
So far as 2018 is concerned,
Yes
totoo
po.
yun.
Meron po. There is.
Ron,
Yes po.
so I would just request you, kung sa mga prior years, meron din ganoong observation.
Yung prior years po, sir, I cannot comment.
Tanong na lamang, next hearing.
Yes po.
Okay, that would be number 1. Number 2, ang lagi kong nakikita, ang COA observation, they cannot determine kung tama o mali ang benefit claims sapagkat kalimitan nawawala ang statement of account o yung billing statement. Is that also one of the audit observations under the 2018 year-end audit?
Yes po. We have that observation that the billing statement and the statement of account were not present in some of the claims or reimbursement of the HCI. There is that observation po.
Noon tingnan ko yung 2016 at 2017, Isa rin yan sa COA findings.
Okay po.
Third, ang isa pa sa inyong findings, case rate, ang sinasabi nyo, nagbabayad ang PhilHealth ng case rate kahit na ang billing ng mga ospital, pati
Lower.
na ang professional fee ng doktor ay mas mababa kaysa sa case rate. Tama po ba yon?
Yes po, again po, in 2018 annual audit report, we have that observation also.
2018,
Yes
can
po,
you recall
yes.
more or less kung magkano ang overstatement sa payment ng PhilHealth?
Congressman, our audit po is based on a sampling basis only. So, it doesn't mean po that the figure we stated here are all the overpayments. Because on a sampling basis lang po kami, and I think only NCR, the National Capital Region and Rizal, have observation on that. But it doesn't mean that the regions have no observations on that. It so happened that only the NCR have submitted that observation, and it's in our report.
Tiniyan ko rin yung inyong mga recommendation. Tatlo, 2016, 2017, 2018. Nakita ko yung COA recommendation na because of this case rate, PhilHealth should already change its policy na kung magkano lamang ang billing ng ospital at professional fee, if less than the case rate, yun lamang ang dapat bayaran. Natatandaan nyo ba kung yon ay isa sa inyong recommendation?
Yes po, that's one of our recommendations also. In fact po sir, during the exit conference, when we discussed that, we told the management na kung pwede habang ini-study pa, kasi sabi po nila, it's not that easy to change the policy because that is still subject to the board approval. But ang amin po sinadya sa kanila, while studying the policy or revisiting the policy, pwede ba i-start nyo na para hindi na lumaki yung overpayment, whichever is lower na lang muna ang bayaran nyo. Yan po yung naging recommendation namin during the exit conference para hindi na madagdagan yung observation namin na nagkaroon ng ganong overpayments. Whichever is lower na lang muna sana while they are revisiting their policy.
But in spite of that recommendation, even for the prior year's audit, hindi ginawa ng PhilHealth, increasing the losses of PhilHealth. Tama po ba?
Obviously, sir.
Okay. Another question. I was reviewing the circular regarding the case rate. Wala akong nakitang provision sa kanilang circular. And I think COA matutulungan kami rito ng COA na nakalagay sa circular ng PhilHealth na kung sakasakali ang billing ng ospital kasama ang professional fee ay mas mababa sa case rate, kinakailangan ang bayaran ay yung case rate. Meron bang specific provision sa circular ng PhilHealth na nagsasabing kahit na mababa ang billing ng ospital at saka ng doktor, ang bayaran ay yung case rate?
Dr. Pergas?
Sige po sir.
Takawa muna.
Since yun po yung policy nila, yun po ang ina-adapt nila, that despite our recommendation na kailangan yung statement of account at saka yung mga billing statements para makita yung actual, hindi naman po ganun ang nangyayari. So wala po kami, I can't recall any provision na sinasabi na ganun. So basta ang pinapalo po nila is the ACR or the all case rate. So whether tumaas or bumaba, they stick to the all case rate.
So would it be a fair conclusion, considering that you are the guardian of public funds under the Constitution? Was PhilHealth, yung bang mga opisyales ng ating PhilHealth, sa paggastos ng pondo ng PhilHealth, ay talagang nagastos ng maayos, especially about this case rate?
Since ang amin pong opinion on the fairness of the presentation ng financial statements ay disclaimer, it doesn't mean po na hindi kami nagbigyan ng documents na magiging basis namin para i-audit, i-review, i-evaluate yung transactions to come up with that conclusion.
Ang inyong opinion,
Disclaimer po.
always disclaimer.
No po, sir. As far as I know, this is the first time that they receive a disclaimer.
Okay.
Before they
Disclaimer.
don't.
Medyo maguguluhan ng ating mga kababayan. I have been in the government service for the last 22 years. I was a mayor before. So kabisado ko na ang audit procedures together with audit observations,
Yes po.
these allowances, not to mention that I am a CPA and a lawyer for a number of years practicing my profession.
Ano po?
Pero sa pag-iimbestiga namin sa House, ngayon lamang kami nakakita ng COA observation that you were not able to complete your audit sapagkat hindi nyo nakompleto sa dahilan no full access was given to you to the full documents na inyong kinakailangan. Tama po ba na yon na isa sa inyong obserbasyon?
Yes po. Yes po.
Yes. Kaya sa aming mga abogado, pag hindi namin binibigay ang dokumento, ang presumption under the law, evidence willfully suppressed would be adverse if introduced. At ito ay audit observation for a number of years. So I think in the meantime, that would be my question unless I would be given a second round. Isa na lamang ang tatanungin ko.
Okay po.
Dalawa na lang issue. Thank you very much, Director.
Okay po. You're welcome po.
Meron bang provision sa inyong circular na kahit na mababa ang billing ng isang ospital, ang dapat yung bayaran ay yung case rate?
Mr. Chair, coming from the definition po ng case rate, which is a fixed...
Hindi nga, simple lang ang tanong ko. Meron tayong circular ang PhilHealth providing for case rate. Ang tanong ko lamang, diyan ba sa inyong circular, meron ba diyang provision na nagsasabi at binibigyan kayo ng karapatan ng PhilHealth na kahit na mababa ang billing ng ospital, including professional fee, hindi nyo pwedeng bayaran yung actual expenses at ang dapat nyong bayaran ay yung case rate. Yes or no? If yes, what is the provision?
Mr. Chair, PhilHealth Circular 2011 for the additional implementing guidelines of case rate. Number 2, the entire case rate amount shall be paid directly to the facility concerned po.
Okay doon kahit na mababa ang billing?
Hindi po naman
Hindi
nakalagay.
nga,
But,
kaya nga yan ang sinasabi ko. Next question. Kami dito mga kinatawan, alam namin na nag-a-avail ng PhilHealth ay yung ating mga kababayan. Kung sakasakali mang sumobra ang bayad nyo, kanino ba pupunta yung excess? Sa pasyente bang mahirap o sa ospital na mayaman at sa doktor na practitioner?
Sa ospital po.
Bakit hindi nyo naman ginawa pag excess naman, natiin natin? If you are truly kung talagang ang plano nyo ay tulungan ng ating mga kababayan, and the way I look at it, yun sa Iloilo, yun sa Region 6, nagbabayad sila ng PhilHealth. Bakit isang ospital lamang?
Mr. Chair, siya po, yung pong isang nabigyan ng IRM sa Iloilo, siya yung na-process. Yun po namang iba na mga nag-apply ng hospital for the IRM is still under process po.
Under process nga tayo ng under process. Yun ang problema natin. Isang question na lamang. Infirmaries. Ano ba definition ng infirmaries?
Honorable Bersaga, you still have 4 minutes. 4 minutes. 4 minutes. You still have 4 minutes. Go ahead.
O nga, 4 minutes. Infirmary. Binigyan nyo rin ng IRM ang infirmary. Tama o hindi?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Nagtitreat ba sila ng COVID? Okay, kung maaari. It's up for the courts to determine. It's up for the ombudsman. Noong huling hearing, sinabi ko sa inyo na nagbigay kayo sa dialysis sa birthing facilities na private, 4.
Yes, Mr.
O, 3. Kagabi, nang magpadala na kayo, tinanong ko rin sa inyo, bakit yung birthing facilities na private, yung binigyan nyo, pero yung primary maternal care package na publiko, hindi nyo binigyan. Tama ba?
Sa ngayon po, wala pang nabigyan.
Walang nabigyan. Pero kagabi, binigay sa akin ni Doktora Clemente yung listahan ng mga public birthing facilities under the MCF. Pero as of now, wala kayong nabibigyan na single centavo.
Mr. Chair, pero meron po tayong computed na IRM para
Oo
sa
nga,
kanila.
pero hindi nyo binibigay.
Kung sila po ay nag-apply at naproseso na. Opo.
Baka sabihin ko sa iyo, marami akong nakausap na birthing facility owned by the LGUs that they do not know that they would be entitled to IRM. May puprove nyo ba yan?
Yun pong ating listahan ay ipinadala po natin sa ating mga area vice presidents para po sila ang responsable sa mga regional offices na mag-inform.
Yan ang sinasabi natin, nagtuturuan na tayo. I want a certification of all your area vice presidents kung na-inform nila ang public birthing facilities under the maternal care package. Sapagkat wala. Sinasabihan ako nung atin, kung PD pala, merong birthing facilities na IRM, bakit kami wala? So sabihin mo rin sa mga area managers,
Yes, Mr.
I
Chair.
would require them to submit that next week because we will present all these documents to the appropriate government agencies when we make our recommendation. At sa nakikita ko, we'll be recommending the filing of cases against all of you, pati na ang sabi ni Chairman Defensor, plunder if necessary. Second round, kung pwede pa.
Thank you, Honorable Barsaga. Exact, right on time, right on schedule. We now recognize the Chairman of the Committee on Dangerous Drugs, the Honorable Barbers is recognized.
Salamat, Mr. Chairman. Magandang hapon po sa ating lahat. Wala na hong paligoy-ligoy ito, Mr. Chair. At babalikan ko lang yung napag-usapan na rin sa Senado tungkol dun sa issue sa BIR. May mga katanungan lang ako, don't know kung sinong pwedeng sumagot nito. To whom it may concern, no? Does PhilHealth withhold tax before the payment is credited to the private hospitals?
We'll ask our SVP for Fund Management po.
Sige. Kala ko ikaw ulit sasagot eh.
Mr. Chair, Your Honor, nagwi-withhold po tayo ng tax sa ating private facilities, Your Honor.
Okay. Bigyan nyo nga kami ng idea. Magkano o ilang porsyento ang inyong wini-withhold?
Mr. Chair, Your Honor, ang wini-withhold po natin ay 2% expanded withholding tax po, Your Honor.
Okay, so you are withholding 2% withholding tax, no? Dito sa na-release nyong pondo ng IRM, kung di ako nagkakamali, 14 billion, di ba? Tama?
Yes po, Your Honor.
Can you give me an accurate amount as to how much is the 2% nung 14 billion na na-release nyo? You should have withheld 2% dyan sa IRM, di ba?
Yes po, Your Honor, for the private facilities po.
No, okay, para hindi na doon na lang sa buong IRM na na-release nyo, sabi mo 14 billion. So, kumpitin mo yung 2% nun. So, that's how much? 2.8? Mr. Chairman, wag niyo isama yung oras na yun, ha?
Mr. Chair, Your Honor, if we will multiply 2% to the 14.9 billion, Your Honor, that's 298 million, Your Honor.
Okay, so 298 billion was supposed to have been withheld by the PhilHealth when they released IRM to the private facilities. Tama pa? Tama?
Mr. Chair, Your Honor, our withholding is only for the private facilities, Your Honor.
Okay, so private facilities, more or less, magkano yun?
Mr. Chair, Your Honor, the total is 7.8 billion, Your Honor, for the
And
private.
roughly 8 billion and 2% of that is
That's
Yun ako sa mate.
156.7 million, Your Honor.
magkano?
156 million, Your Honor.
Okay, so itong 156 million na ito, kailan ba kayo nag-umpisa mag-withhold ng 2% sa inyong mga releases sa private facilities?
Mr. Chair, Your Honor, nag-release ho tayo ng IRM ng March 23, Your Honor.
So since March 23, ang ibig mong sabihin, nagwi-withhold na kayo ng 2%.
Mr. Chair, Your Honor, ang neto po ang binagay po natin na pera sa ating mga facilities because yung ating IRM po ay computed net of tax, Your Honor.
Hindi, no. Ang tanong ko lang, dun sa nirelease nyo, dun sa private facilities, simple lang naman, di ba? Winidol nyo kamo yung 2%. Sabi mo nga, 156 million yun eh, di ba?
Mr. Chair, Your Honor, yung amount kanina po na sinasabi po natin, 156 po, ang that's 2% of the 7.8 billion, Your Honor. So,
Exactly.
Facilities po.
That is my question. Sabi mo, ang sagot mo sa akin, 156 million is the amount that you have supposed to have withheld, no, from the 7.8 billion na nirelease mo sa private facility. Di ba?
Yes,
Wala
po.
na yung mga net mo eh. Kaya hindi tayo, mahina ako sa math, Mr. Lim Siaco. Ang tanong ko lang napakasimple. Doon sa amount na yung 156 million na winidheld nyo, hindi naman ho ito pumasok sa National Treasury. Ang ibig sabihin, hindi nyo ho winidhold. Di ba?
Mr. Chair, Your Honor, nag-remit ho tayo sa PhilHealth ng 156
Okay.
million.
Saan nyo kinuha yung pera nung winidhold nyo, yung niremit nyo? Saan nyo kinuha?
Sa PhilHealth din po na pondo po natin.
Oh, yun na nga eh. That's another, Mr. Chairman, this is another case of malversation. Parang niluto tayo sa sarili nating mantika eh. Unang-una, nirelease nila yung pondo sa private facilities. Dapat nag-withhold na agad sila ng 2% doon. At itong 2% na to, amounting to 156 million, dapat pumasok na sa ating National Treasury. Pero hindi nila ginawa yon. So anong ginawa nila to rectify the situation? PhilHealth, no, using their funds, their own corporate funds, paid and remitted 156 million. Parang double jeopardy yun, Mr. Chair. So classic example of another malversation. I have here a copy of a memorandum signed by General Morales, Corporate Memorandum 2020-0052, no, na nagsasabi dito, the management in consideration of the tax consultant's advice. Sino yung tax consultant? Na hinihingian nyo ng advice?
Mr. Chair, Your Honor, that's Attorney Christina for a while, Mr. Chair.
Di bale, okay na yun. At basta attorney, no? Kasi after the fact nga yung ating usapan na nangyayari dito eh. Nakalagay din dito sa itong memorandum na ito, a 2% expanded withholding tax shall be withheld upon release of the IRM fund and not during liquidation. Because prior to this memo, ang inyong policy ay during liquidation. Nag-release na kayo ng pera, hinintay nyo mag-liquidate bago nyo kukuha na ng withholding tax, which is totally wrong, Mr. Chair. So, I will not anymore belabor this because obviously, meron talagang kalokohan dito lang. I don't know kung saan napunta yung perang yon. Bakit kailangan bayaran ulit ng PhilHealth, maglabas ng sariling pera galing sa PhilHealth para lang to settle yung at makapag-remit ng withholding tax sa ating national government o sa national treasury. Nakalagay din dito sa itong the same memo na may sinasabi dito for those PROs who previously set aside withholding tax or have remitted tax for the liquidations made by HCIs, please reverse the entries made upon deduction of said taxes in your next remittance. So parang if you will try to analyze this memo, this is an attempt to cover up yung kapalpakan na ginawa nila dun sa usapin ng BIR or withholding tax. So, let's move to another topic dahil limitado yung aking oras. But Mr. Lim Siaco, you're supposed to be the one na pinakikinggan dito. Kung nag-hire pa kayo ng tax consultant eh. Anyway, moving on to another topic, Mr. Chair. Ito, I was just, it caught my attention because while reading some documents that I received, may nangyari palang insidente noong 2010 sa Accenture Philippines. I think this was already mentioned by Congressman Barsaga in the last hearing. Pero gusto ko lang pong makakuha kasi ng information tungkol dito dahil parang hindi malinaw sa akin. Yung PhilHealth Senior Manager for Treasury, Evangeline Racelis, discovered an anomaly in 2010 wherein Accenture Philippines has remitted more than 100 million pesos in PhilHealth contribution of its employees. Pero nakarecord ho sa libro ng PhilHealth na na-receive nila yung payment from Accenture, but in reality, the money did not go into the depository bank of PhilHealth but was found to have been deposited o na-deposit ho ito doon sa Batangas. I think it is a private account, no? If I'm not mistaken. So during that time, nagkaroon ho during this time ang IT Informatics Division Head was Attorney Jojo Del Rosario, hindi pa siya SVP no legal during this time. And I think he was asked by the former president, Mr. Banzon, no, to conduct an investigation. Nandyan ba si Attorney Del Rosario? Mr. Chair?
Is Attorney Del Rosario here? Noong huli po kasi nagkaroon siya ng there was a certification from our infirmary, nursing station that he was sick. Is he here with you today or nasa Zoom? Hindi niyo po kasama?
Nasa Zoom? Wala.
Nasa Zoom ba si Wala, Honorable Barbers.
Oh, kasi sa Senate, nandun siya, present siya eh. And he is material here, Mr. Chair. I will continue with my story. Kasi nga, during that time that
Before that, Honorable Barbers, before that, was President Morales also in the Senate? Wala. Attorney Del Rosario was there. But he was there the last time. Sino pa ho yung more or less naman, si Mr. De Jesus Arnel. Talagang
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, I think that this is not the first time that Attorney Del Rosario has disobeyed the invitation of the House. So I believe that we have to either cite him in contempt or give him one more chance, whatever the pleasure of the body would be. But he cannot take this committee lightly, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Honorable Remulla. In fact, we are very tolerant. Hindi naman po natin pinipilit na dito. Even when General Morales requested na kung pwede siya sa Zoom, we allowed it. So if you will allow, Honorable Remulla, maybe warning to the Honorable Del Rosario and let it not reach a point that we will move for a contempt.
Mr. Chairman, if we can still get him on Zoom now, because I don't see any reason why he cannot appear on Zoom before this committee, unless he is trying to evade us with impunity, Mr. Chairman.
May we request the officers of PhilHealth to kindly contact Attorney Del Rosario. Do we have anyone from legal here on the floor? Nung last time nakasama po natin, so no one from legal, kahit na representation ng legal department, wala?
Kaya nagbabingkong-bingkong yan eh. Puro illegal eh. Legal department.
Kindly contact Attorney Del Rosario, anyone from legal, within an hour, lest a contempt motion will be issued by this committee. Honorable Remulla?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, it bears mentioning, Mr. Chairman, that many of the problems that we are now tackling and the investigation being conducted is because the legal department of PhilHealth was not able or did not do its job in investigating these anomalies early on as part of their job in PhilHealth. And now they are trying to evade this committee, which gives me reason to suspect that they may have been involved in the anomalies of PhilHealth itself if they are trying to evade answering questions from this committee.
Tama po yun, Honorable Remulla, kasi ang usapan nga ngayong hapon, yung mga ospital ang ating ipapatawag. In fact, we have several representatives from the different hospitals who are here na medyo legal po to. Question ng mga kaso, pending cases, arbitration, and so on and so forth. Pero let's give it an hour. Pag wala po within 1 hour, then I will entertain a motion to declare in contempt. Not only Attorney Del Rosario, but the whole legal team of PhilHealth. Thank you. Honorable Barbers?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I absolutely agree with Congressman Remulla in his statement. Kasi lahat po itong nangyayaring ito could have been prevented if only the legal department and the legal SVP for legal has given his legal opinion on these issues. Mukhang walang opinion eh. Anyway, moving on with the Accenture. So na-discover po yung pera, 100 million na pumasok sa isang bank account doon sa Batangas. No? I believe the Accenture headquarters is somewhere in NCR. It is just surprising na the money was discovered to have been deposited in a bank in Batangas. Metro Bank po ito. So now, during that time, it was Attorney Del Rosario heading the IT Informatics Division. Apparently, sabi niya, conducted an investigation. But up to this time, this is 2010, Mr. Chair, up to this time, wala pa tayong nakikitang report o investigation report coming from PhilHealth no tungkol dito, because we want to know bakit nangyari yun, sinong dapat kasuhan, sinong involved. And there are stories too, Mr. Chairman, na 2 of the bank personnel of Metro Bank in Batangas was killed. No? I don't know if it's connected, but quite uncanny and unbelievable that merong ganitong instance na kung saan yung mga personnel ng bangko ay namatay, no? Now,
Congressman Barbers?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Yes. Your last question, please. Okay po ba?
Mr. Chair, hindi kakaumpisa ko pa lang.
Go ahead.
Kakaumpisa ko lang. Give me more time. Kakaumpisa ko lang. So, yun nga what I'm trying to establish here, Mr. Chair, na etong the same incident that happened in Balanga, Bataan recently, where money was supposed to have been discovered, deposited as well sa isang bangko sa Bataan. Saan ba yun? And was supposed to be the payment of PhilHealth sa Bibron for its services that they rendered. Unfortunately, the money again landed in another private account. So 2010 nangyari ito, 2020 nangyari ito, and 2019 nangyari ito. So it seems that there is some sort of a pattern. And lo and behold, Mr. Chair, the person behind the incidents is still Attorney Del Rosario, and he has to do a lot of explaining here, Mr. Chair.
Honorable Vargas, Honorable Barbers, Dr. Pargas will reply. Go ahead.
No, Mr. Chair. Yung representative po ng legal namin as a Zoom, Attorney Roger Pocalian.
I'm already online.
Attorney Jojo is here. Sorry.
Attorney De Rosario, kindly reply to the Honorable Barbers.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Sorry, I was late. I'm having some problems with my health condition. But I did not hear the whole speech of Representative Barbers, but I think it pertains to the Accenture. The Accenture mess was discovered in December 5 of 2011. I was designated in the IT department of PhilHealth on November 4, 2011. So mga isang buwan pa lang po ako, Mr. Chairman. And this particular modus has been ongoing for, I think, the past 2 years. Immediate 2 years of before I was designated as OIC of the ITMD. So I have nothing. I'm not part of the investigation, but I was one of the witnesses that was called by the ad hoc committee created for the purpose. So I'm not part of the legal during that time then po, no? So I was not part of the investigation or fact-finding committee. So I don't have much knowledge about this, your chairman, Mr. Chairman.
I remember, Mr. Chairman, when Attorney Del Rosario was asked in the Senate last Monday, if there was an investigation on this particular issue, and he replied, he said, yes, there was an NBI investigation. But I got a word from the NBI in the anti-fraud division that they were never able to access, or they weren't able to access records from PhilHealth during that time when they were conducting an investigation, because Attorney Del Rosario invoked the Data Privacy Act. So there was never a investigation or
Mr. Chairman,
that was made by the NBI. So,
Mr. Chairman, opo.
Attorney De Rosario, go ahead, Honorable Barbers. Kindly finish your
okay,
statement.
balikan natin yung yung Accenture. Paano na settle yung issue yun? Ano nangyari dun sa pera?
Mr. Chairman, I said that there was an investigation by the NBI, but I did not no request from my end kasi hindi naman po ako yung investigador eh. The NBI was coordinating with the legal sector during that time and directly with the corporate legal counsel in the person of Attorney Gabriel and with the president of PhilHealth during that time, Dr. Eduardo Banson. So I was not part of that, Mr. Chairman. So I'm not the best person to ask what happened to that particular case, since I was after several months, I was already transferred to PhilHealth Region 1. So I did not know. I came to know the NBI investigation because when we were discussing anti-fraud efforts in Region 1, we had this speaker from the NBI that told us that he was the chair of that group that investigated that particular incident. But I have no personal knowledge. I there is no document that has been requested from my end during the time as ITMD manager that I refused to give on grounds of data privacy, Mr. Chairman. So
If we call the person from NBI, Mr. Chair, and testify before the committee, would Attorney Del Rosario cooperate?
yes, Mr. Chairman.
Because according to the NBI, no, PhilHealth invoked the Data Privacy Act, and that stalled the investigation.
Yes.
That was done by Attorney Minerva Retanal of the
Yes,
Anti-Corruption.
that's the NBI person that was one of our speakers, Mr. Chair. That's why I
Attorney Del
learned that
Rosario.
there was an NBI investigation.
Attorney Del Rosario,
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman.
would you know kung sino sa PhilHealth ang nagpa-hinto dun sa investigation based on the data privacy law?
I would not know. I have no personal knowledge, but the one handling this investigation was Attorney Gabriel of the Corporate Legal Counsel Office of PhilHealth during that time, Mr. Chairman. And this is of particular interest that our president during that time, Dr. Banson, was personally looking into this problem kasi malaki po ito eh. Nag-press conference pa ang PhilHealth about this eh.
Yeah,
But I have no personal knowledge of what happened, why the investigation was concluded, or as far as I know, the internal investigation resulted to the dismissal of 2 employees. And there's an ongoing investigation pertinent to that, ongoing case against one of the regional vice presidents. Yun lang po yung alam ko po doon, Mr. Chairman.
Question lang.
Kung bago si Kong Barsaga may sisingit lang daw mabilis.
Excuse, Congressman Barbers.
Yes,
Kasi
sir.
kung ang laging i-imbok sa paghingi natin ng dokumento dito sa Kongreso ay data privacy law, wala na tayong dokumento na mahihingi in the course of our investigation. They have to remember that we are doing a constitutional duty. Sub-judicial rule nga, hindi applicable sa atin. Kahit may ka-Supreme Court, tapos hingin natin data. Ang sasabihin, data privacy law. Kaya babaksak na naman yung presumption na evidence ay ayon lang ilabas sapagkat guilty sila. Ang pinoprohibit lamang, public disclosure.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
So, Attorney Del Rosario, you better review again the data privacy law. Kung
Honorable
Kongreso
Barbers.
ang humingi ng dokumento, hindi po pwede. Because
Yes,
of
sir.
the data privacy law. Wala na
Sir,
kami
wala-
mangyayaring investigasyon dito.
Wala po kami,
Honorable
wala po
Barsaga.
kaming refused
Attorney Del
document.
Rosario,
I'm
it
sorry,
was not
Mr. Chairman.
referring to you. It was a statement of fact by the Honorable Barsaga. Congressman
Thank you,
Barbers.
Thank you, Mr.
Sige.
Chairman.
So maraming katanungan dyan sa usapin ng Accenture, Mr. Chair, that dapat ma-inform tayo, no? Kasi hindi natin alam. Sabi ni Attorney Del Rosario, may na-dismiss na empleyado. Pero question, have they been charged criminally? So hindi natin alam kung ano nangyari doon. Not even what happened to the money? Saan napunta yung pera? Paano na-settle yung pera? Because I was told and I was given the information that it was settled, no? By what virtue, by what power, but by what legal basis did PhilHealth use in order to negotiate and settle? Public funds po ito. Kaya marami pong dapat itanong dito na puntahan ko na moving forward. Doon na ho ako sa Balanga, Bataan. Nung May of 2019, the Balanga Rural Bank in Bataan received 12 payments from PhilHealth intended for B. Brown Dialysis Center. The total payment that went into the bank was around 9.7 million. Now, B. Brown said na yung rural bank na yun is not their bank. Question, paano ho napunta yung pera ng PhilHealth doon sa account na yun na hindi naman bangko nung supposed to being babayar nila ng serbisyo? So anong mo doon? Anong mo doon na attorney? May idea ko doon.
Mr. Chairman, the person that handled the investigation is Attorney Pocalyan, Roger Pocalyan, and Attorney Robert Labe. No? I apologize, Mr. Chairman. During that time that this particular incident was being investigated, I was already on leave for 4 months. No? So maybe we can address the question, Mr. Chairman, to Congressman, to Attorney Robert Labe. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah. Attorney Labe? Oo.
Congressman Barbers, the last question, Attorney Labe, kindly reply.
Question. Banata mo na muna si Rosario. Ang galing ng credibility.
I'm sorry, Honorable Barbers.
Mr. Chair, pwede bang mag-interject lang ng kaparaso kay...
Habang hinihintay po si Attorney Labe, Deputy Speaker Fernandez.
Kasi yung tinatanong ni Congressman Barbers about dun sa kaso ng Accenture, na diniscuss ko rin ng nakaraan na 114 million yung kanilang nawala. Ang alam ko, Mr. Chairman, yung si Mr. Greg Rulyoda, during that time ng 2012, siya po yung Senior Vice President ng Legal Sector. And at the same time, siya rin po yung, I think, noong 2006, siya yung sa Vice President ng sa Membership and Contribution. Bakit hindi natin tanungin siya? I think siya ang may saka currently, that time...
Okay, Deputy Speaker Fernandez, do we have Attorney Lyoda sa Zoom? Andito po. Sige po, pakisagot nga po yung tanong.
Sino ba siya? Ayan. So andito pala, Mr. Chairman. So can we, Congressman Barbers, you can explore your question siguro.
Yung pong sa Accenture, do you have personal knowledge of the issue?
Good afternoon, Your Honor. As far as the Accenture is concerned, there was a committee that was created to investigate that for that purpose. At hindi ko po alam kung nagkaroon ata yung committee together at that time during the presidency of Dr. Banson, if my memory could really is right.
So you were the one leading the investigation? You were the one leading the investigation?
No, sir. I was not part of the investigation. It was the Treasury Department who reported it to management. And then from that, they made an investigation with regards to that. And
okay, Attorney Labe, we will just request from Treasury the submission of documents as regards Accenture.
Yeah.
Huwag niyo na pong bigay sa amin yung hard copy, sa soft copy na lang ho, and we will be the ones to access it. Thank you so much. Okay, Congressman Barbers.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. Marami kasing tanong tayo dapat na pasagot dyan sa kanila, sa Accenture na yan eh. Kagaya na sinabi ko kanina, sino yung dapat managot, sino yung na-filean ng kaso, na-dismiss lang daw eh. Wala namang criminal charges that were filed against the employees involved. No? Paano na-settle yung pera? 140 million po yan, Mr. Chairman. Pera ng taong bayan yan. At yung ginawa nila na isinettle, anong legal basis ng settlement? Is PhilHealth allowed to negotiate and settle issues like that with the private hospitals or whoever? But hindi ho yan yung isa pang yung meat of my question, Mr. Chairman. Yung nangyaring yang sa Accenture, nangyari ulit ngayong taon na ito, 2019, sa Balanga, Bataan naman, involving almost 10 million pesos. Yung 10 million pesos na yon, naipasok po yun sa isang bangko na apparently, according to, it was supposed to be payment para sa services rendered by B. Brown. Pero hindi naman ho pumasok yung payment doon sa bangko ng B. Brown. Napasok po ito sa isang rural bank. Ang question, sino yung mga taong involved? Bakit po napunta sa isang private rural bank itong perang ito ng taong bayan? No, number one. Number two, I remember that sinabi ni Attorney Del Rosario that there was an investigation on this particular issue. Pero kanina, sinagot na naman niya, sabi niya kanina na wala namang akong pinigil na investigation. In fact, hanggang ngayon, wala pang resulta yung Accenture. Hindi ko rin alam kung anong masasagot niya naman dun sa Balanga, sa Bataan. So since January of 2019, siya na yung SVP legal ng PhilHealth. Nangyari yung Balanga Bataan May of 2019. So anong nangyayari ngayon dyan? Diba? And clearly, there was a malversation and transfer of public funds with impunity. Kahit saan nila gusto ilagay, ilalagay nila. So yun ang gusto natin malaman.
Thank you so much, Honorable Barbers. Maraming salamat po. Pwede din pong hingin sa atin po sa legal yung documents ng Balanga Bataan. Again, soft copy, we don't need the hard copy for the guidance of this committee.
Mr. Chair, last na lang. Mr. Chair, last na lang before. I will yield, kasi kanina kinain yung oras ko But it's okay. I will yield to the next interpellator provided that I will again be given a chance on the second round. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yes, Honorable Barbers, you will be first in the second round. We now proceed to Deputy Speaker Marcoleta. Deputy Speaker Marcoleta, you have 30 minutes. Go ahead. Those in plenary will have additional 10 minutes. So 30 minutes for the Honorable Marcoleta.
Salamat po, Mr. Chair. You can allow me a little time to just air my frustrations based on what I have observed during the last hearings and on the basis of the answers being given by our resource persons. Marami pong paikot-ikot, some convoluted answers, prevarications. Alam po ninyo, kailangan mabilisan na lang ito Mr. Chair, I think the success, even the extent of our hearing here will depend entirely on how they will answer our questions. I'm very frustrated simply because not only confusing answers na paikot-ikot, yung iba pa they are outright lies. For example, itong Attorney Del Rosario, when I was asking him about the 100 million given to the Philippine National Red Cross, sasabihin niya sa akin, at dinig na dinig naman ninyo, he was not privy to the negotiations. Para bang hindi niya alam, may hawak akong dokumento that he is one among the 3 members of the panel. Ang kasama niya, Senior Vice President o Vice President Dr. Shirley Domingo at saka yung certain Mr. Oscar Cabado, Vice President for Membership, and Attorney Del Rosario. Pagkatapos sasabihin niya sa atin, he was not privy to the negotiation between PhilHealth and PNRC. Sino hindi mapoprostrate dito? Para bang hindi niya alam, I have even the pictures na nandun siya. Kausap niya yung aking kumpare, Senator Gordon. Wala akong sinasabing masama tungkol sa PNRC. I'm only establishing the facts na nandun siya. Pero sasabihin niya sa atin, sa mukha natin, na magsisinungaling siyang ganon. Si Dr. Pargas naman, ikaw naman, tinanong ko lang kung magkano yung aking contributions. O after 2 days, kung hindi pa kita tinext, hindi mo ibibigay sa akin. How can you do this? Yung Manila doctors, nangako ka sa akin. Hanggang kayo, nandito ba? Are we getting the right answers from you? Yung isa naman, tinanong kita tungkol sa expanded withholding tax. I cannot remember kung sino na dito. I guess kayo po na nandyan sa... You were telling us pure lies. Ang sabi mo, yung mga health care institutions are the ones paying the expanded withholding tax. Di ba? You were collecting 2% expanded withholding tax. Hindi totoo yun It was PhilHealth itself, because PhilHealth is the only withholding agent of the BIR. Hindi yung healthcare institutions. Okay? Magkano ang binayad ng PhilHealth? Sinabi na rin ng pagtatanong ni Congressman Barbers, 156.7 million. Kayo ang nagbayad. Pagkatapos, magsisinungaling kayo. Ano makukuha namin na mabuting sagot kung ganito ang gagawin ninyo? Ang sabi ni Dr. Attorney Del Rosario, isa lang ang departamento. Parang hindi niya alam, may dokumento ako, 4 ang departamento niya. May I start with you, Attorney Del Rosario, nandiyan ka ba?
Yes, Mr. Chair, can I comment on some points raised by the honorable?
You have no right. Tinatanong ko lang kung nandiyan ka pa.
Thank you, sir. Andito po,
Magaling
Mr.
kang
Chairman.
magpaikot eh. And I warn you, kung ano lang ang tinatanong ko, yun ang sagutin mo. Huwag kang magpapaikot dito. I think, Mr. Chair, we should already advise them that right now, we're working on a complaint for plunder, malversation, and charges of administrative offenses and so many things. And the final form of this complaint will depend not entirely on the kind of answers that you will give us. Attorney Del Rosario, hindi ba ikaw ang Regional Vice President ng Region 1? Nung
Yes, sir.
220 cases against hospitals and doctors were forwarded to your office. Yes or no?
Yes, sir. I was once
Yes
the
or
regional
no?
vice president. Yes, I was once regional vice president of PhilHealth, Region 1.
In 2019, nung hindi na ikaw ang Senior Vice President, teka muna, you were asked to file 220 cases. Ilan ang pinail mo?
I'm sorry, Mr. President. The ones filing the cases.
I am
is the
asking you,
legal-
out of the 220 cases endorsed to your office, how many cases did you file?
The regional vice president is not the one filing cases, Mr. President. It's the legal office of the region that files the.
Attorney Del Rosario, I'm warning you, I have documents with me. Huwag mo akong paikutin. I don't care if you're the best lawyer in this country. Pero sa ngayon, sagutin mo lang ang tinatanong ko sa iyo. Because in 2019, nung hindi na ikaw ang Senior Vice President, ito ang lumitaw. Only 3 cases were filed versus St. Catherine Hospital. Totoo hindi.
I don't have the data. As I've told you, Mr. President, the one filing the cases then
What do you know? Palaging paikot-ikot eh. Ikaw ang binigyan ng SPA. Do you want me to show the document that you were given an SPA by then interim President and CEO de la Serna to file appropriate criminal, civil, and administrative cases, for example, against several culprits? This is dated November 2, 2017. Hindi mo aaminin dito?
Mr. President, Mr. Chair, that particular.
I am asking you, do you know about this SPA?
I've known that SPA only of late, Mr. President, Mr. Chairman. I've not seen that that particular document was forwarded directly to the.
I am asking you
unit.
if you know this because this is an SPA issued to you by interim President CEO de la Serna, dated November 2, 2017. I have the documents with me.
Yes, sir. I've already seen that document, but I cannot remember seeing that document in 2017, Your Honor, Mr. Chair.
There was even an endorsement dated 13 September 2017 for the filing of criminal and administrative case against a certain Dr. Martin Corpus. You know this document, don't you?
I've seen that document only recently.
Do you know this document? I'm not asking you whether or not you saw the document.
Yes, Your Honor.
Paikot-ikot ka. Ito, Mr. Chair, ang problema sa taong ito eh. Despite all this, SPA endorsement, 220 cases endorsed to your office since you were acting Regional Vice President of Region 1. Wala kang ginawang pinail na kaso kahit isa. For example, it was also disclosed nung mawala ka na sa Region 1, 11 cases are missing. 10 cases versus Elguira General Hospital. 1 case against Dr. Macario Macaraeg. You deny this?
I'm not aware of that, Mr.
Oh,
President.
yan ka na naman. You remember, I have all the documents. I don't care if you remember or you don't remember. That's your problem. Meron kang pinirma. Ito yung natural ko pare, hindi ako na...
Okay? Session resume.
Oh, para hindi ka naman, baka mamaya magmalingger ka na naman, ano? Meron kang memorandum number 2018-14. You directed each and every provincial regional office to file at least one complaint per quarter. Itong memong ito'y ginawa mo, Attorney Del Rosario, after certain operational audits, fact-finding investigations, nakalagay sa memo mo that there are certain facilities and professionals that are acting against the interest of the PhilHealth Fund. Kaya ang ginawa mo, gumawa ka ng memorandum, you ask all the regional offices to determine and ascertain those people, those culprits, identify all them. Parang ang ganda, no? To protect the interest of the PhilHealth Fund. What is the reason why you gave them a quota of only one criminal case per one quarter? What is the logic for making or putting a quota or any limitation?
Sir, that quota is the minimum. Kasi napansin ko po nung pag-assume ko dito that ever since PhilHealth was created, there were only 11 complaints, criminal complaints filed. And I reviewed the cases, and all the criminal complaints were filed by the central office. So there was actually a confusion whether who will file the criminal complaints. So I issued that memorandum, but at the same time, I recognize the limitations of the regions pertaining to their capacity to process all these cases.
Attorney
that's
Del
why-
Rosario,
Yes, sir.
alam niyo po dito sa session, si Congressman Marcoleta, Congressman Barsaga, hindi na po dapat sila nagpupunta rito because of the COVID. The least you could do, Attorney Del Rosario, while conducting Zoom, at nandyan naman po kayo sa Zoom, i-on nyo naman po yung video nyo para nakikita kayo ni Congressman Marcoleta habang nag-interpolate siya.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Kahit hindi ko na siya nakikita, Mr. Chair, mas okay pa sa akin eh. Importante lang sa akin, sagutin niya ng matino yung tinatanong ko. So ang sinasabi mo, Attorney Del Rosario,
Yes, sir.
ikaw pa lang nag-determine. Gaano ka kasigurado na yung determination mo, that's only one filing of one case per quarter, yun ang tama to protect the interest of PhilHealth? Bakit naman?
That's the minimum, Mr. Chair.
Sino nagsabi sa yung minimum?
Sir,
Who told
kasi,
you?
sir,
Who instructed you to give that minimum? Why not 5? Why not 10?
Kasi yung ano ko kasi, sir, during that time, wala pong
No.
napapahal.
Sinong nagsabi sa'yo? Who gave you the guideline na kinakailangan isang kaso lang per quarter? Can you imagine? One filing of case for 3 months? Sino ka para i-determine mo sa sarili mo na yun ang minimum? Why work for the minimum? Why not maximize the opportunity of being able to determine all those culprits in order to defend and protect the funds of PhilHealth? Huwag ka na mga twira ng kung ano-ano. So ikaw pa lang nagdi-determine. Yung pa lang mabuti sa PhilHealth. That is the way to protect the funds of PhilHealth. Kailangan isa lang na case ang i-file in 3 months' time.
Mr. Chairman.
Hindi ko alam kung anong logic meron ka, attorney. Ha?
Mr. Chair.
Teka muna, I'm not asking you anything.
Okay, sir. Proceed, sir. Sorry.
Doon sa PhilHealth circular, dito makikita natin, Mr. Chair, siyang nagdi-determine. Ha? Wala kang sinabi na ang board ang nag-advise sa'yo. Not even the board, not even the EXICOM. Only one person, Mr. Chair, has the power to determine kung sino at ilan ang ipapile na case. Sus Maria Joseph na buhay ito. Doon sa PhilHealth Circular 2020, balikan natin yan, 0007. Merong effectivity doon napansin ko lang kagabi nung nire-review ko to Do you know the effectivity of that particular circular, Attorney Del Rosario?
If I remember it right, I think it's March 20 or 21, Your Honor, Mr. Chair.
Narinig mo yung sagot, Mr. Chair? Why did you say it took effect on March 31?
21 yata, 21 po yata. I don't have the document right now, Mr. President. Mr.
Wala ka
Chair.
palang dokumento. Bakit sinasabi mong March 31 what? What year? 2020?
Are you referring to the IRM circular, Mr. Chair?
I am talking about PhilHealth Circular 2020. Ito yung IRM. COVID-19 ito. Kabisado mo ito Bakit mo sinabing March 31, 2020 ang effectivity? Why?
Hindi, sir. Ang sabi ko, sir, ang alam ko March 20 or March 21.
Ang sinasabi ko sa iyo, merong effectivity itong circular na to. Ang tanong ko sa iyo, do you know when did this PhilHealth circular take effect?
I think nakalagay po dyan, effective immediately, Your Honor. So
hindi mo kabisado?
I'm not sure
You tell
about
me,
the
I will
date.
help you. Hindi mo kabisado?
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
It takes immediately from its publication in a newspaper of general circulation and take note, 3 copies, certified copies to have been furnished to the Office of the National Administrative Register of the UP Law Center. When did you or PhilHealth furnish the Office of National Administrative Hospital of UP? When? When did Honor of UP Law Center receive the 3 copies from PhilHealth?
Sir, it's not my office that is in charge of that. So maybe we can ask the sector in charge.
Maybe ka na naman You are the Executive Vice President ng legal sector. You have worked for PhilHealth for 20 years or so. Pati lang itong effectivity, ito na naman, paikot-ikot ka na naman. Alam mo ito Do I need to tell you or give you the document? Ako mismo ang ang nag-search
Sir, during the Senate hearing, it was mentioned that it was only in June that PhilHealth provided copies to the Honor.
So what day in June? What day in June?
If I remember it right, it's June 11, yung document shown by Senator Lacson.
Alam mo na yun Magmamali ka pa June 11, hindi 7.
June
Do I
11
need to correct you every time?
I said June 11, Mr. Chair.
Okay. So ngayon, alam natin, ito palang IRM took effect legally June 11, 2020. So what happened to the funds that you disbursed prior to this date? What?
Sir, it appears that the requirement of the circular was not satisfied as to the requirement to furnish the Honor.
What kind of answer is that? Are you a lawyer? Talaga ba lawyer ka? June 11, nung magkaroon ng kopya ang Honor of the UP Law Center. Meaning to say, doon lang nag-take effect yung inyong circular 2020-0007. Alright? Ang tinatanong ko sa iyo, what happened to the funds disbursed prior to this date? Let's say March, April, May, and June 10. What happened to those funds?
Sir, it would appear that those funds were not released based on the prerequisites set by the circular on the publication and the furnishing of copies to the owner.
What? Can you speak better than that? Do you have a better explanation than that? Napakasimple ng tanong ko eh. Ano ngayon ang mangyayari doon sa pondo na nirelease ninyo prior to the effectivity of this circular?
So it is without authority, it would appear, Mr. Chair.
Anong sabi niya?
Without authority.
Oh, so walang authority. Now what happens to you now? To all of you?
Illegal.
Oh, illegal. Okay. Mabuti yan nagsasabi ka na ng totoo ngayon.
Ako yun. Ako nagsabi nun. Honorable Marcoleta.
Ah, ikaw ba?
Oh, pasagutin natin sila.
Do you agree to the statement of the chairman? Illegal. Oh, hindi na makasagot.
Are you asking me? Yes, Mr. I agree with the chairman.
Illegal, di ba? Illegal na.
It did not comply with.
Tinatanong lang kita, illegal na, di ba?
Yes, I agree, Mr. Chairman.
Simple. Attorney Del Rosario, simple lang po sagot. Illegal po ba? Hindi.
Yes, I agree, Mr. Chair.
Ano sagot, Mr. Chair?
Sabi niya, yes, I admit, I am pretty certain. Is that correct?
I agree with the chairman that it's illegal. Yes.
Was that properly recorded, Mr. Chair?
Yes, Honorable Marcoleta, it was on record.
Thank you. Attorney Del Rosario, bilang isang napakahusay na abogado, ikaw ba naniniwala na ang COVID-19, alam mo siguro yung COVID-19, hindi ba? Alam mo ba yung COVID-19, Attorney Del Rosario?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Kailangan makasiguro tayo, Mr. Chair. Masyadong madulas ito eh. Is COVID-19 can be considered a fortuitous event within the meaning and objectives of PhilHealth Circular Number 2020-007. Huwag kang sasagot ng hindi mo naintindihan. Within the meaning and objectives of PhilHealth Circular 2020-007, can COVID-19 be considered a fortuitous event?
I think my opinion on the matter, Mr. Chair, is that the fortuitous event is the pandemic caused by the COVID-19 infections, Mr. Chair.
Attorney Del Rosario, kung alam mo nasa courtroom lang tayo, ako ang judge, baka pinalabas na kita eh. Tinatanong lamang kita eh. Kung within the meaning and objectives of your own circular, kung makukonsider mo bilang isang mahusay na abogado na fortuitous event ito, you can refer to your circular kung gusto mo. Kabisado mo ito kaysa sa akin. Ako ngayon ko lang nabasa ito eh. Paano ka namang hindi masusuya sa ganitong klaseng mga sagot na? Naniniwala ka ba na ito makaklasify na fortuitous event?
Yes, sir. I think that's the intention of the
Oh,
corporation.
yun ang paniwala mo, hindi ba? So, nakalimutan mo, second paragraph nung rational nung PhilHealth Circular, sinasabi ang ganito. Act of God, like floods, typhoons, di ba? Wars, gera, to effect displacement of communities in several endangered areas. So dito makikita, yung fortuitous event has the capacity to displace a community. Merong physical ano ito eh, merong physical attribute ito, displacement of communities. Under objectives nakalagay, to provide aid to healthcare institutions in rebuilding their critically damaged healthcare systems. Physical ang pinag-uusapan dito eh. Pagkatapos, hiningam ka pa ng description or photo of the effects of fortuitous event. Nakikita mo ba yung COVID-19? Attorney Del Rosario? Do you see the enemy?
No, sir. Only the effects.
May kinakailangan ng photo rito eh. Paano mo lilitratuan si COVID-19? Hindi mo nga nakikita eh. Pagkatapos, nandun pa, explicitly mention if majority of the claims under the HCI's custody were totally destroyed. Anong ibig sabihin? These are collection of words and phrases that denote that something was damaged, physically damaged. Kaya nga kailangan yung IRM eh. Kaya kanina tinatanong kita kung klasifikado nga na fortuitous event. Yes, sir lang ng yes, sir. Pero hindi mo naintindihan ang sarili mong circular. Bakit nagsinungaling ka sa akin nung sabihin mo na you are not privy to the negotiation between PNRC and PhilHealth?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The negotiation, na pumunta po kami doon, kausap namin si Senator Gordon, it does not pertain to the amount of the mobilization fund. Ang pinag-usapan po namin dito doon, Mr. Chair, ay yung proseso kung paano makatulong yung PhilHealth doon sa pagpapabilis ng pag-submit ng documents ng Red Cross for liquidation. Hindi po yung usapan po doon tungkol sa tungkol sa amount ng mobilization fund. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Sa palagay mo ba, kapanipaniwala yung sagot mo sa akin? Hindi ba totoo na 3 kayo rito? Nasa akin ang dokumento, attorney.
Yes, sir. Nandun po kami, sir, Mr. Chairman.
Kung pipilitin mo na magsinungaling ka pa, nasa sayo yun. Okay? Kaya nga sinasabi ko sa iyo kanina, the final form of this complaint for plunder, malversation, and so on and so forth will depend on the kind of answers that you will give this joint committee. Kasama mo si Legal Vice President Shirley Domingo and Mr. Cabado, the Vice President for Membership. Noong inegotiate ninyo, kayo ang panel. Pagkatapos, directly magsisinungaling ka sa amin.
Yes, sir. We negotiated, but yun, sir, yung dinidiscuss namin yung proseso, hindi po yung amount po ng mobilization. The amount of mobilization, sir, po yun top level negotiation po yun. So,
Gaano katap yung level?
Pumunta po kami doon, hindi naman si Senator Gordon po yung intention namin kausap, yun lamang po mga staff, yung gagawa po ng mga forms. Tapos nakita lang po kami ni Senator Gordon, kaya po kami tinawag. So hindi po yun yung negotiation.
Maglubid ka ng buhangin kung gusto mo. Pero ang sinasabi ko rito, yung 100 million is a clear deviation from the objectives and parameters set forth in your own PhilHealth circular. Because, ang sinasabi ko sa iyo, sa aminin mo't hindi, wala namang historical claims ang PNRC. So, kailangan explain mo sa amin ano ang basis ng 100 million? Sapagkat akala ko ba, kasi dito lumilitaw, Mr. Chair, yung paggastos, yung pagwaldas ng pera ng PhilHealth, walang patumangga, walang protection. Kaya kapag tatanungin mo sila, ano bang basis nito? Anong guideline dito? Bakit ginamit ninyo yung COVID-19 circular pagkatapos wala namang claims dito? Wala namang i-rebuild, wala namang facilities na gagawin. But you earmark 100 million for PNRC. That's only the point. I wanted to establish kapag ang pinag-uusapan, paggasta, mabilis, walang patumangga. Mr. Chair, PhilHealth as one institution forgot one thing, na itong perang ito, hindi sa kanila. They keep the money in trust. They have that fiduciary responsibility to protect this trust. Alam mo, Attorney Del Rosario, Yung pera mo, kung poprotectionan mo yun, okay lang kasi pera mo yun eh. Pero ito, kung kinakailangan triplihin mo o sampuhin mo ang pangangalaga sa perang ito, that is the requirement of a fiduciary responsibility. Do you agree or not?
We agree, Mr. President.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
Yun ang gusto naming standard sana eh. Hindi ganun eh. Hindi ganun. Mr. Chair, may I direct my questions to other panels? Sino po kaya ang pwedeng sumagot dito?
I would think Dr. Pargas would have a hand on that, on the 100 million ceiling for Philippine National Red Cross. Yun po yung tanong ng Honorable Malcoreta. Sino nagrekomenda ng 100 million at bakit ibibigay? Dr. Pargas.
Mr. Chair, Attorney Labe will respond on that.
Attorney Labe.
Mr. Chair, good afternoon. I'm not privy to the 100 million, but I understand how they funded this project, Mr. Chair, because the expanded targeting testing was computed at 2% of the 13 million population in NCR at the time, Mr. Chair, and it's about, I think, 900 million. But as regards to the advance payment of the 100 million, I was not part of the, I'm not privy to that, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair, yung word for the day ngayon is, or the phrase, I'm not privy. Nagbayad ba ng expanded withholding tax? Binawas nyo ba yun? Nung ibigay nyo yung 100 million sa PNRC? Oh, you're not privy. Okay. Attorney Dr. Pargas. On August 5, 2011, PhilHealth issued Circular Number 011-2011 to implement a case-based payment. Ito yung ACR, case rate, for 23 selected cases and surgical procedures. Is that correct?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
You know, you cannot blame me if I expect, faster answers. Kasi circular ninyo to eh. Ako, 2-3 araw ko lang nabasa ito eh. But I can commit them into memory if I want to.
It was signed by our president then on August 5, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, that is correct. And in this circular, it says that it should be reviewed every 6 months. Is that correct?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Every 6 months. Positive, okay? Yes?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Okay. On October 29, 2013, PhilHealth issued Circular Number 0031, Series of 2013, to implement an all-case rate policy. Correct?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Correct?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Okay. The objectives are as follows. Reduce claim processing or time turnaround TAT. Increase PhilHealth support value, rationalize reimbursement rates, and achieve technical efficiency for providers. Okay. Isa-isahin natin, Dr. Pargas. Achieve technical efficiency for providers. Did we achieve this?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
How can you say that? Technical efficiency for self-providers. Katakot-takot na audit observation memo. Inulang kayo ng napakaraming notice of disallowances concerning the payments to these hospitals and care capacity. Pagkatapos sasabihin mo, how could you even say that? Achieve technical efficiency for providers. Rationalize reimbursement rates. Okay. Have we rationalized reimbursement rates? Have we? Tinanong nga kita nung isang araw eh. What will happen to the excess payment given to the hospital? Sabi mo sa hospital na lang yun. Is that the way you rationalize reimbursements, Dr. Pargas? Ang kanyang intervention is only 10,000 pesos. Binayaran mo siya ng 15,000 pesos. Yung 5,000 napunta sa ospital. That is rationalization. That is rationalization.
Mr. Chair, with regard to the one, ang prinsipyo po kasi nung case rate really is dahil fixed po siya, meron po talagang mga kaso na maaaring mas mataas ang nagagastos,
Alam
pero
na
maaari
natin
pong
yun,
mas
Dr.
mababa.
Vargas. We've been there. Ulit-ulit na tayo dyan. But the system is bad. It is not correct because it is not a system where you were able to get back the excess fund para magamit uli ng PhilHealth. That is the most ideal thing to do. You remember the bus conductor or the bus inspector? I've been telling you. You
Yes,
remember
Mr.
the inspector in the trains?
Yes, Mr.
Ganon
Chair.
dapat yun eh. So wala talagang malasakit eh.
Dr. Pargas, I'm sorry to say, pero ang audit report nyo, since that time, parating negative. Wala kayong naging auditing report na positive.
Precisely. Kaya nga itong mga objectives na ito na binabasa, walang natupad dito eh. Example, paano mo na-reduce yung claim processing? Dahil mabilis kang magbayad. Siyempre, wala na eh. Kahit na ba sumobra pa ng 10,000 ito eh. Ano naman ang pakinin nyo? Hindi talaga, ang lumilitaw dito sa pagsusuri namin dito, pag yung pag-alaga, yung pagsinop do sa pondo, wala kayong pakialam doon eh. Yung pag-disburse, yung pag-spend, ay yun ang mabilis. Tingnan na lamang natin, Mr. Chair. Ang pagkakaalam ko, the number 2 killers, mortality, na pumapatay sa tao, sa ngayon, number 1, heart diseases. Number 2, vascular diseases. Number 3, malignant neoplasma. Ito yung cancer. Bakit ang nangyari, Dr. Pargas, ang tatlong yung top ninyo na ailments na binabayaran under all case rate, pneumonia, gastroenteritis, and UTI. What happened to the 3 topmost killers in this country? Did you ever think about this? Did you adopt a study? Mukhang talagang walang pag-aaral dito. Somebody have been telling me na ito po talagang minadali. Ito walang... Now we are able to confirm all this. Even by way of your answers, you are not able to reply to us with certainty, with conviction, and in all honesty, I am frustrated with the answers that you are giving us. Ang gusto ko lang kaya ako nagpunta rito, Mr. Chair, I wanted to see that Attorney Del Rosario. I want to tell him in his face how frustrated I am in giving me all these answers. These silly answers. Alam po ba ninyo, Dr. Pargas, alam ko eh, nagre-research din ako, maski mahirap eh. Ang daming adverse COA findings sa inyo. For example, less than a year after the ACR was implemented, na-implement kasi you started with 23, so 2011. Less than a year after the ACR implementation, PhilHealth suffered financial bleeding. Ang dami, it was triggered by spate
Overpayment.
notice of disallowances. Ang dami. Let me cite examples. Region 5, Dr. Pargas. Notice of disallowance dated September 12. 2,273,000, blah, blah, blah. Audit observation memo, PCH. PhilHealth is not protecting. Ito yung observation mismo ang sakit nito PhilHealth is not protecting the interests of its members and instead benefiting the institutional healthcare providers. Baligtad Ito yung observation ng... I'm not sure if
Honorable Marcoleta, with apologies, can you wrap up?
I am trying, Mr. Chair. But I think you will have to forgive me if I continue.
I continuously forgive you.
Thank you.
Honorable Marcoleta.
Region 12, audit observation memo, questioning the validity of benefits claims payment of 4.6 million due to lack of statement of accounts from HCIs. Region 2, notice of disallowance dated August 31, 2018, disallowed the overpayment of 56 million. NCR, various notice of disallowances, disallowing the payments of some 54 million pesos. Not only that, Mr. Chair, not only the adverse findings of the COA, ito mga independent studies ito, Dr. Pargas, I will cite several of them. In November 2016, a paper entitled 2016 Health Finance Policy Sector Report Rationalizing Case Rates was presented to the PhilHealth Board. You recall this, Mr. Pargas?
No, Mr. Chair, just to clarify, in 2012 po, I was in corporate communications. 2013 to mid-2018, I am with the corporate affairs. Ako po ay napunta lang sa health finance noon pong mid of 2018 as an OIC and was appointed as Senior Vice President ng Health Finance noong 2019.
What are you saying? You don't know about this paper?
When it was presented po, I was not there during that time.
Yeah, the
yun lang
question
po.
is, do you know? And you came to know about this paper? Yun lang. Yun lang ang tanong.
And Mr. Chair, yung title, just to, sorry po, apologies po, yung title lang po.
Ito nga, 2016 Health Finance Policy Sector Report Rationalizing Case Rates. Importante ito because these are independent studies commenting and trying to help you determine the weaknesses of the system. This is on record. This is on record.
Yes
you know
po,
this?
I think I've heard
Okay.
naman po.
Yun
Yes.
lang naman eh.
Yes po.
Okay. This report, Dr. Pargas, for your elementary education, showed that the fee for service, ito yung dati, this is the old system na pinalitan ng all case rates. The FFS payment schemes average value per claim did not exceed 5,000. So yung old system ninyo, yung average value per claim did not even exceed 5,000 pesos. Ito yung sinasabi ng report. Itong all case rate posted an increase of 44.9% average increase in payment to level 1 hospitals. Is this correct?
Yes, Mr.
Okay,
Chair.
yes. This report also further showed that despite a 9% decrease in the number of claims in level 1 hospitals, nag-decrease ng 9% yung claims ng level 1 hospitals, but the amount paid to them increased by 65% nung gamitin na ninyo ang ACR system. Ito yung lumabas sa study. Okay. The same report, Mr. Chair, disclosed also that an overpayment in more than 1/4 of the total claims, 1/4 ng total claims in 2016 ay nandoon. And it resulted in overpayment of about 2.6 billion pesos for the same year. Ito yung sinabi ng study. Okay? Ito pa. Also, in November 2016, in Davao City, merong in-house actuary na nag-present ng report entitled, this is the title of the report, Towards NHIP. Ito yata yung National Health Insurance Program. Sustainability, fiscal year 2016 to 2025. It was presented at the PhilHealth Regional Consultative Meeting. You know about this?
I would recall,
Okay.
Mr. Chair.
So ang ang factual lang talagang, it did happen talaga. There was a paper presented in such a gathering, right?
I would suppose so, Mr. Chair.
Okay. This report, Dr. Pargas, warned PhilHealth that the NHIP fund operated at a net loss for fiscal year 2011, 2012, 2013, and 2015. Okay? Yun ang report. Winarn kayo na you were on a operating loss. This report also projected that the fund would be depleted by 2019 because the expected operating expense was estimated at 140 billion or a deficit of 140 billion, ang estimated collection nyo lang naman ninyo, 110 billion. So you have a deficit of 10 billion.
Honorable Marcoleta, mukha naman pong agree naman po si SP Vargas sa lahat ng mga binanggit ninyo at tama po yung inyong mga pinunto. I'll give you time to wrap up and the next is the Honorable Rimulya. Sa likod nyo lang po ang kagalang-galang po.
Yes, sir. Pero ito namang si Congressman Rimulya kasi kaibigan ko naman ito talaga. Pagpapasensyahan ako nito. Isa na lang kasi pong...
Sige po, Honorable Marcoleta.
Dr. Vargas, in 2018, mas importante itong mga independent studies na ito eh. A 2018 World Bank paper entitled Striving for Equity and Efficiency, an assessment of provider payment reforms in the Philippine health sector. Meron din ito. This World Bank paper recommended the revision. Tandaan po ninyo, kung wala po kayo nito, dapat naman meron kayo. This World Bank paper recommended the revision of the ACR payment mechanism, noting that case rates fix the amount that providers receive in advance and eliminate the option of uncontrolled balance billing in public and private hospitals. Ito yung dapat ninyong makita. It further noted that when PhilHealth switched to case rate payments, it failed to put in place a cost control mechanism. Ito yung pinakamabigat. Kaya ang sabi nga natin, talagang gatasang baka na nga. Ito, tatagalog ko yung isa para mas matindi. Sabi pa nito, ang dalawang pinaka-importanting aspeto ng polisiya ng ACR or all case rate, maganyak ang tagabigay ng serbisyo na maging technically efficient at maprotektahan ang mga pasyente sa mga panganib na pampinansyal na hindi matutupad sa paraan ng pagkakadesenyo ng ACR policy. Ang konklusyon, mismong ni-request na gawin para sa PhilHealth at DOH, at ang payo kay DOH ganito, the fundamental shortcoming in the way the case rate payment mechanism has been implemented is exactly the same as the PFFS. Ito yung nakaraan, with the ACR payment serving merely as a discount off the hospital service charge. Napakasakit po na ito. Pero ito, these are all, I'd say, mga guidelines na binigay sa inyo, pambukas isip sa inyo, pero balikan na kita, tuhuli na po ito sapagkat marami pa akong itatanong pero second round na lang ako. The last hearing, Dr. Pargas, sabi mo sa akin, sa lahat ng nangyayaring ganito, the structural deficiency in the system of collecting the balances, kung meron man, sabi ko, pinag-aralan mo ba? Ang sabi mo sa akin, aaralin nyo pa lang. Paano nangyari yon? Yung inyong policy, dapat every 6 months inaaralan nyo. The independent studies, sinabi na sa inyo ang deficiency, even the World Bank. Pagkatapos sinabi mo sa akin noong nakarang araw, aaralin nyo pa lang. You started in 2011. 9 years later, sasabihin mo, Dr. Pargas, aaralin nyo pa lang. What will happen to the fund? What will happen to the fund? Mr. Chair, I will reserve my right for the second round. Thank you very much.
Honorable Rimulya, before we proceed to Honorable Marcoleta, before we proceed to Honorable Rimulya, napansin po kasi ng mga media, nagsasabi po kayo nung filing of a plunder case. Gusto ko lang po linawin, with your indulgence, yung pong napag-usapan natin na we as a committee, the Good Government and Public Accountability and the Committee on Public Accounts may decide to be part of the filing of cases against PhilHealth officials and yung pong mga healthcare providers that we deem are part of the scheme to defraud PhilHealth of funds. Tama po ba yun?
That is correct, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Marcoleta. We now proceed to the Honorable Rimulya.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Nandiyan pa ba ho si Attorney Del Rosario?
Attorney Del Rosario?
Mr. Chair, nandito po.
Wala ka ba sa video?
Ayan na po, sir. Good afternoon, sir.
Magandang hapon. Nung Lunes po, nakilala ko kayo, no? Nandito kayo sa House of Representatives.
Yes, sir.
Ba't wala ho kayo ngayon?
Sir, medyo masama pong pakiramdam ko. Tapos naka-receive na po tayo ng preventive suspension. So inaayos ko po yung magamit ko kasi this will be the last day that I will be in office for the next 6 months. I apologize, Mr. Chair.
How old are you, Attorney Del Rosario?
I'm 45 years old, Mr. Chair.
45 years old. Ilang taon na kayo sa PhilHealth?
I've been with PhilHealth since 1998 po.
So 1998, you were 22 or 23 years old. Nasa PhilHealth na ho kayo.
That is correct, Mr. Chair.
And this is not your first job, or is PhilHealth your first job or not?
No, sir. I worked with, I was a radio broadcaster, reporter, and I worked with the DENR and then Civil Service Commission. And I was invited by the first president of PhilHealth, Joe Fabia, to join PhilHealth as his executive assistant.
So naka-apat na trabaho na kayo bago kayo pumasok sa PhilHealth at the very young age of 23 years old.
Yes, sir. Pero maikling panahon lang po, sir. 1 year po.
So ano-ano yung naging trabaho nyo sa PhilHealth, Mr. De Rosario?
Mr. President, Mr. Chair, I was executive assistant. Then I was a job order contractor. When Attorney Fabio resigned, I was deemed resigned. So I applied back to PhilHealth as a job order. Then eventually I was appointed as Development Management Officer 4, assigned at the membership and contributions.
Ilang taon kayo noon? Nung sa membership and contributions kayo?
I think mga 25, Mr. Chair.
So sandali lang kayo nag-job order, tapos naging permanente kagad kayo sa PhilHealth?
Yes, sir. Mga 6 months po akong job order, sir.
Tapos kinuha na kayo. So doon kayo sa membership contributions, tapos saan pa kayo nagtrabaho? Anong parte pa ng korporasyon?
Membership contributions, then I was assigned po, sir, sa Office of the SBP Operations, Office of the Workers Program. I was also staff sa Benefits Development Office. Then I was Chief of Corporate Planning.
Kailan kayo naging Chief ng Corporate Planning?
I think, sir, 2005, 2004.
So anong salary grade nyo noon, nung 2007?
Salary grade 22 po.
Pardon me?
22, sir, 22.
Salary grade 22. Okay,
yes,
so corporate planning, tapos?
Nung nasa corporate planning ako, sir, naging division chief ako, SG24 na po yun. Tapos naging OIC manager po ako ng corporate communications. Nakalimutan ko banggitin, sir, naging OIC manager din po ako ng information technology.
Information technology, naging chief din kayo ng information technology.
Yes, sir, opo. Nung panahon po ng...
Anong year yun?
Sir, November 4, 2011. Mga 1 year din po ako doon bago ako nalipat ulit.
Okay, tapos?
Tapos, sir, I was designated na po sa... yung isa, sir, sa PRID pa po, no? Physical Resource Infrastructure Department. Naging OIC senior manager din po.
So, Physical Infrastructure Department?
Yes, sir.
Okay, tapos?
Tapos, sir, naging OIC RVP ng Region 1.
Kaya anong year yun? Naging OIC RVP kayo, Regional Vice President na Region 1?
Yung first assignment ko po, sir, doon, sir, 2013, for 7 months lang po, sir. Tapos nabalik po ako sa central office as manager of corporate communications department. Then I was transferred to NCR South Branch. Then after nun, reassigned po ulit ako sa Region 1 for more than 2 years na po. 2 years and 7 months po ata. Then after Region 1, Region 11, tapos, sir, I was reassigned to legal na po 2018 July.
July 2018, you were assigned to legal. Anong posisyon nyo sa legal sector or legal department ng PhilHealth?
OIC, sir, officer in charge nung Office of the Senior Vice President when the SVP took a leave of absence.
Sino yung SVP na yun?
Attorney Jermaine Lim.
Okay. Tapos?
Then, sir, I was appointed as SVP na po April of 2019.
April of 2019, naging SVP na kayo ng legal.
Yes, sir. That's correct.
Okay. So, the whole time, kailan kayo naging abogado, Attorney De Rosario?
I became a lawyer in 2016, sir. I took the bar in 2015. I took the bar when I was with Region 1. I took a leave of absence for several months to review and to take the bar.
Gaano katagal kayo sa law school? How long were you in the College of Law?
Ano, sir, including po yung leave of absence ko na 1 year, mga 6 years.
6 years. Tapos, so, binigyan nyo sa amin yung background. Parang before you became OIC of the legal sector, parang wala kayong legal training. May legal training na ba kayo bago noon?
Wala, sir. Kasi ano po yun lang po yung ano ko, yun yung time na ano po ako, naging ano tawag dito, naging OIC ng legal. Doon lang po ako nagkaroon ng legal doon lang po ako na expose sa
so
legal function.
Sa isang korporasyon na 150 billion a year, almost ang budget, would you say that your legal experience is good enough for you to hold the Senior Vice President position of the legal sector of PhilHealth?
Sir, kasi ang nangyari, I have no intention po.
Ano lang, natanong ko lang sa'yo, if it's good enough, if your qualifications are good enough to make you the Senior Vice President of a 200 billion peso corporation, Senior Vice President for Legal Affairs of a 200 billion peso corporation.
I think, sir, the qualifications, kaya doon sa engineering, sir, ang proposal po namin sa Chief General Counsel po, yung position, ay extensive na experience sa legal. Kasi napakahirap po, sir. Napakahirap po, Mr. Chairman. I would prefer an operations or corporate planning.
So you admit, Mr. De Rosario, that you are not really meant for that job. Hindi talaga kayo qualified to head
Yes, sir.
the legal department of the biggest GOCC in the Philippines.
Sir, in terms of sa SVP position, I think I'm qualified. My appointment has been validated. But the legal sector will benefit from a more experienced legal person, Mr. Chair.
Sino nag-validate ng iyong pagiging SVP ng PhilHealth? Yung sinasabi mong validation.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman.
Who validated your competence to be the Senior Vice President of the Legal Department of PhilHealth?
First, sir, the selection process, the PhilHealth Board, and the appointment was validated by the Civil Service Commission.
Binalidate the Civil Service Commission. Are you assessor, Attorney De Rosario?
I'm CSEE, sir. Career Service Executive Eligible.
So you are CSEE since when?
Counterpart 2011 po.
I think Honorable Remulla, VP Mas of Human Resources will reply.
Yes, sir. Under sa sector ko, Human Resource Department, I would like to submit itong certified true copy ng report on appointment issued by PhilHealth. Nakalagay dito, Rodolfo De Rosario, validated. This appointment was validated by Director 4, Judith Dongalok Chicano of the Civil Service Commission. We will submit this, sir.
What does validation entail, sir? Anong ibig sabihin ng validation? Ano ang sinasabi ng validation?
Na-comply niya, sir, yung mga qualification standards ng Civil Service Commission as to education, as to experience na 5 years managerial, at saka training na 120 hours in management and supervision. I will submit, sir, the the report of civil service.
But there's no validation as to his fitness to be the Vice President for Legal Affairs of the biggest government corporation.
Yung
Meron ba?
Sir, yung yung qualification standards so kasi sa mga senior vice president.
Question of the Honorable Libulia is may validation ba to be head of legal?
To be head of legal, para siya ang maging #1 lawyer ng PhilHealth. Meron bang validation yan?
Yung qualification standards so kasi ng SVP for legal, sir, sa PhilHealth ay lang generic na 5 years in the position involving management and supervision. Wala hong nakasabi na as lawyer. So generic ho yung
So you don't so ang lawyer pare-pareho lang yan. A lawyer does not need qualification. Basta lawyer ka, okay ka na. Yun ang sinasabi nyo.
BP Dennis Mas, ang tanong ko yung sa legal hindi dun sa senior vice president. May validation ba na mag-head siya na siya ang tama sa legal?
Sir, yung appointment ho sa kasi niya legal.
Hindi, meron nga bang validation o wala?
Okay, Mr. Chairman. Let's look at this.
Submit ko.
Mr. De Rosario, there were 220 cases in Region 1. Did you review these cases after you became the Senior Vice President for Legal Affairs?
No sir, bali ang ano po diyan yung fact-finding investigation and enforcement department. Sila po yung nagkikipag-coordinate po sa ating regional offices.
Tinatanong ko, did you review them after when you became the Senior Vice President for Legal Affairs? Did you review these cases?
No sir, I reviewed the cases.
Teka, tama na.
Opo.
Sige, next question. Yung Accenture case, did you review it?
No sir, kasi wala pong pending case sa Accenture.
Ano? Walang?
There's no pending case po na about sa Accenture. Aside from the one pending investigation po noon that we filed, the PhilHealth Board decided to file the cases. An investigation report that has been pending for several years.
Who is investigating, Mr. De Rosario?
I'm sorry, sir.
Who is investigating the Accenture case? Sino nag-iimbestiga?
Sir, mayroon pong fact-finding committee po yan. It was composed of a number of lawyers. If I remember it right po, yung mga kasama po dyan ay sila Attorney Dodi Pineda po. Siya pong chairman.
So walang nangyayari sa Accenture case, Mr. De Rosario, but even if you are the Vice President, Senior Vice President for Legal Affairs of PhilHealth.
Sir, yung una pong mga investigation, tapos na po yun. Nagkaroon na po ng verdict po doon. Meron lang pong naiwan na isang investigation report that nung na-conduct po kami ng inventory, we presented it to the PhilHealth Board. So yung mga tao po doon na nirecommend ng committee to be charged, na-charged na po.
Ano ang charge na final ng committee?
Ano sir, grave misconduct.
Grave misconduct. 140 million pesos, grave misconduct lang ang final nyo?
Exactly.
Sir, yung yung una pong charge nila ay din po yun na grave misconduct. So na-dismiss na po yung mga yun. Yun po sir, yun ang nirecommend na committee. No criminal complaints were filed.
You are now the head of the legal sector of PhilHealth. How many lawyers are there in the whole PhilHealth? Whole PhilHealth system?
Sa legal, including sa region, sir, siguro around mga 20 plus, sir.
20 plus lawyers?
Yung mga permanent lawyers, yes. We have, we have mga project-based.
How many of them are more senior than you in terms of law experience or being a lawyer among the 20?
I think, sir, more than 10 or half or more.
Maybe most of them are more
Yes, sir.
senior than you
Yes,
as
sir.
a lawyer.
Yes, I
Mr. De
think so,
Rosario.
sir. Yes, sir, that's correct.
Alam mo naman, ba't tinatanong ko yan, Mr. De Rosario, no? It's not to belittle your competence
Yes,
or your
I understand,
capability. It's just that you are holding the most important legal job in the biggest government corporation with a budget of 200 billion, and here you are, appointed as Senior Vice President for the legal sector with less than 5 years experience as a lawyer. Am I correct, Mr. De Rosario?
That's correct, sir. If I will be reassigned, I will be very happy, Mr. President.
But you are enjoying being Senior Vice President of PhilHealth.
No, not
Kahit
at all,
na hindi
sir.
ka bagay sa legal sector, kinukuha mo pa rin yung posisyon ng Senior Vice President for legal.
Sir, when I was transferred here, the president then requested me 3 times. I refused 3 times. But yun sir, actually kung pwede lang, kung makakabalik lang ako sa regions, I will prefer that, Mr. Chairman.
No, Mr. De Rosario, meron pong allegations na kayo daw ang main player sa PhilHealth Mafia. Would you deny that?
I absolutely deny that, Mr. Chair. Wala po tayong tinatago. Pumirma na po tayo ng yung sa waiver sa AMLAC. We are willing to submit sa lifestyle. Sir, sobrang ano po niyan, sobrang unfair po ng nasasaktan po tayo ng husto dyan, pati po yung mga miyembro ng pamilya natin.
Allegations ngayon, kaya tinatanong ko sa iyo, that's an allegation. So you are denying that, Mr. De Rosario?
Sir, wala po. Wala po tayong kinasasapian na kahit anong pong mafia. Tayo po ay tapat na naglilingkod po dito.
Mr. De Rosario, kung meron kang pagkukulang, it is that you are not really fit to be the Senior Vice President of the legal sector of PhilHealth, which is now embattled and has na napakarami ng problemang legal. Andiyan ka, alam mong hindi naman ikaw talaga ang dapat humahawak ng legal problems ng PhilHealth. Kung meron kayong kasalanan, it's more of incompetence, Mr. De Rosario. Would you call it that?
No, I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman. I beg to disagree. The records will show that during my limited time here, nadoble po yung pagpa-file ng criminal complaints. Tapos tumaas po yung bilang ng investigations at resolution ng cases. Yun po yung katotohanan, Mr. Chairman.
How many cases were filed
Can show
while
you
you
the
were
figures.
in the past year? Ilan ang kasong na-file ng PhilHealth sa court?
Sorry, sir. Somebody is calling my phone. It keeps on.
How many?
Sir, we have. I don't have the records now with me, but on the criminal complaints, before my time here, there were only 11 complaints filed. And ngayon po, nadoble na po yan. Although I'm not really happy with the figures na yan.
So nadoble na, there are 22 cases filed now? Or 30
Yes, sir.
cases?
Criminal
Mr. De
complaints.
Rosario?
Yes, that's correct.
That is
Tapos,
your
sir,
output
Tapos,
for,
sir,
that is your output for 1 year, nakapag-file kayo ng 30 cases. Yun ang sinasabi nyo.
Tapos sir, yung administrative cases po natin, marami po tayo na-file, in thousands po yan. Kung makikita po ninyo yung na-file since 2013 and to 2017, mas marami pa po yung na-file 2018.
Mr. De Rosario, ito na lang.
Ano ba
Yes, sir.
niya? Pwede lang kong bilis sa singit. Ang ibig niyo pong sabihin yung pinalitan ninyo, ang na-file lang niya ng case ay 11 because you have doubled, sabi mo, yung filing ninyo.
Yes sir, hindi lang po yung pinalitan ko. Mula pa nung panahon na unang panahon yan.
Sino ang nakaupo dyan noong mga panahong yan?
Several SBPs na po yung umupo po rito.
Yes, but sino yung nakaupo prior sa inyo?
The Attorney Jermaine Lim po, Your Honor.
Before him, sino?
I think it's Attorney Ed Asuncion.
So Lim, Asuncion, sino pa?
Attorney Bong Galicto.
Okay, sino
Attorney-
yung...
So, Mr. De Rosario, in 22 years na nasa PhilHealth ka, halos walang ginawa yung legal department of PhilHealth about all of these cases that can involve malversation, violation of the Anti-Graft Act, plunder, etc., etc., etc. Like estafa. Walang nakakasuhan na ganong kaso.
Meron sir, pero 11 nga lang po.
Isa lang.
11.
Ano yan? Criminal cases yan that are already pending in court.
Yes sir, at marami po doon
Or pending
na-dismiss.
with the fiscal. May malaking diferensya yan eh. yung kasong yan ba nasa piskalya o nasa korte na?
Yung mga nasa piskalya, Your Honor, na-dismiss pa.
Mr. Chair, may I ask if the resource person, this attorney De Rosario, is still under his continuing oath?
Yes, he is under his continuing oath.
Because there are several things that he is talking about which are against the records that that are in my possession. For example, yung sinasabi ko kanina, merong SPA na dinirekta siya na siyang mag-file, wala siyang ipinail kahit isa. These are 220 cases na iniwan niya sa Region 1. Pagkatapos kung ano-ano yung sinasabi niya, I just want to make sure na ibang record ang sinasabi niya kaysa sa paghahawak natin dito.
Yung binabanggit niya, Honorable Marcoleta, dun sa legal na, sa taas, sa central office.
Sa central office, Mr. Chair, tingnan mo, sinuspindi niya ang napakaraming tao. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Ang tanong ko sa kanya, Mr. Chair, kung nandun pa siya, did you file any criminal case against these people na sinuspindi mo? Kilala mo ito? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 8 tao sinuspindi mo. Did you ever file any criminal case as against these 8 people that you suspended by way of an ad hoc committee that you constituted?
Mr. Chair,
Tinatanong kita, yan ang ayaw ko sa iyo eh. Mr. Chair ka na.
Yes or no lang. Yes or no na lang ang sagot.
Sir,
nag-file ka pa ng criminal case dito sa sinispindi mong 8 tao. Kilala mo lahat ito. Hindi ko na mamagitin ng pangalan.
Sir, di po ako nagsuspend sa mga yan. It was the PhilHealth Board.
Hindi nga ikaw ang nagsuspend. Hindi ko naman tinatanong kung ikaw nagsuspend eh. Kanina pa sinabi ko sa iyo, kung sasagot ka, intindihin mo yung tanong sa iyo. Sinuspindi mo yung mga taong ito sa pag-aakala na napakarami nilang kasalanan. Ang tinatanong sa iyo, did you ever file any single criminal case as against these 8 suspended people o PhilHealth? Mga regional directors ito.
Sir, the
file
matters were referred to the National Bureau of Investigation, Mr. Chair.
Na tao ito.
Hindi siya nag-file. Hindi nag-file.
Ito po. Ang totoo niyan, alam mo ba, as the head of the legal department, sabi nga ni Congressman Rimulya, ikaw ay yung the most brilliant lawyer on the top of a 200 billion
corporation.
Billion corporation. Meron kang kinonstitute dito sa committee suspending these 8 people, pero yung 4 dito were charged by the NBI. Ito yung well-med. 4 dito ang chinarge ng NBI, isa sa perpetual succor, chinarge sa ombudsman. Pero ito ang kinonstitute mo sa ad hoc committee para suspindihin yung 8. Hindi ka naman nag-file kahit isang criminal case. Ngayon nagyayabang ka. Sinasabi mo, ang dami mong pinail na case. Sino po ba yung kanina nagsalita dyan tungkol sa civil service?
No, Mr. Chairman, ano lang. I-clarify ko lang, Attorney De Rosario. Go ahead. You got an SPA to file the 220 cases in what year?
2017 po yan, Mr. Chair.
So 2017, a year after you became a lawyer, nag-OIC na kayo ng legal department ng PhilHealth, tama ba yon?
Noong 2018 na po, Mr. Chair.
2018 na kayo. But you were already working with the legal department in 2017.
No, sir.
You were not, anong position mo na to 2017?
Regional Vice President of Region 1.
Region 1. Yung 220 cases na binigyan kayo ng SPA para mag-file, final nyo ba yung 220 cases?
Sir, yung kausap po namin dyan, yung PhilHealth Region 1, ang sabi po sa amin dyan ay may mga inconsistencies po doon sa investigation report at inaayos po yan yung mga ebidensya. At hindi po yan, that refers to 220 counts against one provider lang po.
Okay, 220 counts against one provider. 2017, 2020 na ngayon na ba since then?
Yes, sir. Yun nga po yung sabi nung bago ng lawyer po doon sa Region 1 that they are checking on the evidence and on the report that there are some inconsistencies.
So after 4 years, they're just checking on the evidence, Mr. De Rosario.
Yeah, that's the representation of the PhilHealth Region 1 office po.
Mr. Chairman, I will not anymore lengthen my questioning on this matter. I think the point is proven.
Yes.
Some people are not meant to serve such a big corporation with such gargantuan problems who are not really qualified for the position.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, may pasakit talaga ang PhilHealth.
Attorney De
PhilHealth is sick
Rosario.
to the bone, Mr. Chairman. May sakit talaga ang PhilHealth, malubhang malubha. At yung mga gagamot dito, lalo na sa legal problems, wala po sa loob ng PhilHealth ngayon because it is my opinion and my submission that the person serving as the Senior Vice President for the legal sector is not competent, Mr. Chairman, to handle that job. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Honorable Remulla. Attorney De Rosario,
Mr. Chair.
are you still there?
Chair.
Yes, sir. I'm still here.
Oh, yung po tinatanong ni Congressman Remulla, quick lang, di ba sa PhilHealth to, pwede niyong isuspend at pwede niyong ipagbayad ng fine?
Yes, sir. That is correct.
Bakit po dun sa WellMed, hindi niyo sinuspend? Fine lang po ang bayad nila.
Saan, sir? Yung WellMed, natanggalan na po na accreditation po yan.
Ano yun?
Natanggalan na po na accreditation yung WellMed, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, but they were not suspended. There was no, in the administrative case that you have here, wala silang ganon.
There's no need to suspend because their accreditation was already withdrawn, Mr. Chairman.
And on the board, they have not paid. Is that correct? Yung, board, yung sa fine nila, hindi pa na-decide ng board?
I'm not sure if they have, I think they have filed an appeal before the board. Attorney Jonathan Mangawang will be the best
Kahit na po, hindi naman sa korte, doon lang po sa board ng PhilHealth. Hindi niyo pa ho yes, Attorney Mangawang.
Yes, good afternoon, Mr. Chair. Just to inform the board, the Congress, the board actually deliberated on 80 counts of claims for non-admitted or non-treated patients, offense of the WellMed early this year. And decisions, however, have not been served because the PBRs or the PhilHealth board resolutions are still being routed for complete signature of the board members present.
Kailan po ninyo inaprubahan yung resolution? Attorney Mangawang, kailan po ninyo inaprubahan? Before COVID or during COVID?
I think February 13, Mr. Chair. And
Attorney Mangawang?
yes, sir.
So, February, hindi nyo pa ako napirmahan?
We are still completing, sir, the signatures by the board members present, but
COVID, napirmahan nyo na yung IRM, napirmahan nyo na, yung mga kailangan magbayad sa inyo ng penalties, hindi nyo pa pinirmahan. Is there a deliberate delay to approve by the board?
no, sir. No, sir.
How come it's like that? May COVID ka na na-approve, may IRM ka na, ang dami nyo na na-approve, pero itong WellMed, hindi nyo pa na-approvehan.
Chair, meron lang akong tatanong kay Senior Vice President Management Services related kasi sa kaninang tinatanong ni Kong Remulla.
Okay, if I may, Honorable Marcoleta, I'll allow you to ask the question and then the Honorable Fernandez can proceed.
Yes, sir.
SBP Dennis Mas.
Yes, sir.
Hindi ba sa Civil Service Law yung salary grade 24 kailangan sa inyo ay merong master's degree?
Master's degree, sir.
Okay, sino sa inyo dito yung nando sa salary grade and higher dito sa mga kasama mo ngayon?
Oh, sir. Isa lang yung qualification standard.
Salary grade sila lahat na 24 or up?
Oo.
So lahat ba sila, can I assume na meron sila lahat master's degree?
Except, sir, may mga attorney 5.
Kayo po ba merong master's degree?
Oh, meron akong 2 master's degree. Sir,
Ano po?
Meron ho akong master's degree at saka isang PhD sa UP.
Yung mga kasama nyo ngayon, merong master's degree?
Meron sila, sir. Si Mr. Limshaco.
Hindi, yung mga kasama mo ngayon.
Oh, sir, meron silang master's degree.
Is that true, Dr. Pargas? You have a master's degree?
I'm a doctor of medicine, Mr. Chair.
Ang sinasabi ko, master's degree.
So, sir, can I, respond
Meron?
again?
Meron po?
Ito po, sir, yung qualification standards ng mga
Yung sinasabi ko, civil service eh. Ito yung sinasabi ko sa inyo, paligoy-ligoy kayo eh. Lahat ba ng nandito merong master's degree, considering that they are higher than salary grade 24?
Meron sir walang master's degree pero merong substitute naman.
Okay, so sino yung walang master's degree? Can you please raise your hand? Okay. So, in violation na ito ng ano eh. Ang balita ko rito, you have to confirm this. Meron yatang nag-request sa inyo sa civil service na i-waive yung qualification na yon. Meron ba? I have documents to show you.
Yes sir, may
Oh, why did you do that?
Sandali lang,
Bakit
sir.
kayo na kumingi ng waiver? What is so spectacular and special in your positions that you need to ask civil service na i-waive yung qualification na yon? Again, ang sabi nga ni Congressman Remulla, you were chosen from the few. You are the few chosen from among several people qualified to handle a very big responsibility to protect the fund of PhilHealth. Pagkatapos hihingi kayo ng waiver, i-waive yung why?
Sir, can I read, sir?
Why do you have to ask the lowering of a standard or to ask for a waiver of that qualification when that qualification probably is the one or the least needed to protect the fund of PhilHealth? Answer.
Sige, sir.
What is the reason why do you have to ask civil service to waive that particular qualification?
Kalagay ho, sir, sa civil service rules that agencies are encouraged to set specific or higher standards for their positions, including the required competencies.
You are encouraged na kumuha ng mas malaking karunungan. Ang tinatanong ko sa iyo, meron kasing requirement na master's degree. Pero ang ginawa ninyo, you requested PhilHealth to waive that qualification. Can you imagine? Are you so special that the civil service granted your request? Meron ba sa Zoom, Mr. Chair, na membro ng civil service dito? Can you imagine? Humingi sila na i-waive yung qualification ng master's degree. Bakit naman? Kung yun ang inihingi talaga eh.
Sir, lahat
napaka-special ninyo.
Mr. Chairman, can I reply?
Last question, Mr. Chair. Hindi ko maintindihan ang sagot niya eh. Madam Actuary, are you licensed? Are you a licensed actuary?
Yes, sir. I'm an associate actuary.
I'm asking you point blank, and you are under oath. Are you a licensed actuary?
I have an associateship in the Actuarial Society of the
Ang
Philippines.
tinatanong ko po sa inyo kung may lisensya kayo. Meron po yung lisensya?
Parang ano po, ang tanong po ni Kong Marcoleta, kung kayo ay abogado, hindi nyo po pwedeng sabihin, nag-abuga siya kayo. Dapat yung pong lisensya.
Bilang actuary po kayo 200 billion fund to be protected by people chosen, selected few to protect the fund of PhilHealth. Isa yan ang actuary. Napaka-importante.
Further clarification, Honorable Marcoleta, yung 200 billion, yearly yun. Ibig sabihin, pwedeng maipon ng maipon yun at pwede pang lumaki. Opo.
That is the reason why an actuary is a very important position. I am asking her kung siya meron pong lisensya.
Meron po ba, Ma'am Neri?
Kasi po yung, hindi po under PRC, ang mga actuary. It's,
Madam, the
being
question
given-
is answerable by yes or no.
Yes, yes, sir.
Meron kayong lisensya.
Hindi po like, ang kino-confer po na Actuarial Society of the Philippines is associateship and fellowship.
So ang ibig ba sabihin ng PhilHealth should lower their standards, Mr. Chair?
Mr. Chair.
Yes,
Ang
go ahead.
Actuarial Society of the Philippines kasi is the one that qualifies people to be actuarial practitioners, no? It is a very unique sense because a very unique organization because they qualify people to join them because it's really for the mathematically gifted, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, so in this case, you are part of that.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Okay, Honorable Fernandez, you may continue. You may now start.
Okay, maraming po salamat at lumipat naman po muna tayo panandali sa IT at sa inline sa pagtatanong ni Congressman Marcoleta. IT sector, Ma'am Aragona, kayo naman po sa IT sector. Tinatanong ho ni Congressman DS Marcoleta kung qualified yung mga opisyales ng PhilHealth. Kayo po ba? Qualified po ba kayo? Ano po ang inyong aral kung pwede pong malaman?
Ako po ay graduate ng PS Industrial Engineering. Ako po ay may masterals. Ako po ay kumuha ng mga several programming courses before. Ako po ay nakapagturo ng programming courses sa Data Pro Computer Center. Have been an IT instructor din po.
In other words, marami na rin po kayong mga karanasan pagdating po sa IT. Nakapasa na po ba yung ISSP sa DICT?
Yung ISSP namin 2018 to 2020, original, approved po yun. Meron kaming revision 1, approved, and then revision 2, approved din po.
In other words, yung pong pondo, kasi ito po yung mga dokumento na dinala niyo po sa amin, yung sa 2018 po na nanggaling sa DICT, 2 billion for 2018, 1.7 billion for 2019, at 1.4 billion for 2020. Tama po ba?
Tama po.
Tama po.
Revision.
At doon po sa 2018, kahapon ba tayo? Or nung isang araw? Noong Tuesday, no? Noong Tuesday po ay binanggit po ninyo na out of the 2 billion na budget for IT noong 2018, 334 lamang yung utilize. Tama po ba?
Yes po, ang hawak ko pong dokumento, yung galing sa fund management sector.
So yung 334 po, yung po nagamit, actual yon, na-procure yon. Correct?
Anong year po yun, sir?
2018 po.
2018, yung total, sandali lang po.
Procurement po ninyo,
2018
nasubmit niyo po sa amin.
Opo. Yung sinabit po o sinabi ko po no na 334 million, yun po ay yung total ng CAPEX at yung MOOE na kinuha ko po doon sa fund management sector.
Hindi. So, ito pong 334 na sinasabi nyo ay IT to lahat, di ba? IT.
Opo.
Yeah, correct.
CAPEX and MOE.
Okay. Sa 2019 po, 317 million.
2019, 317 million utilized as reported po.
At 2020, 79. Yan po yung sinabi nyo noong nakaraan eh.
Yes
So
po.
ngayon po ay ito pong hinihingi ko po sa inyo na list ng mga lahat na na-procure. Ang napadala nyo po lang dito ay yung 2018, 334, actually 342 po eh. Alam nyo, pagtamain nyo po yung inyong mga listahan. Sa totoo lamang po, parang hindi pare-pareho. Katulad nung kay Mr. Renato Limsiaco, mamaya meron ko i-discuss sa'yo. Mali rin yung mga figures na pinadadala nyo. Hindi namin alam kung bakit mali-mali eh. Nililito nyo ba kami or ang hirap mong tignan yung mga numbers na kapag binibigay nyo sa amin, tapos pag kine-check namin, yung lahat ng mga dokumentong pinadala nyo, hindi rin nagtatama-tama. Hindi ko alam, Mr. Chairman, kung may may intensyon. At any rate, Mr. Chairman, dito sa inyong budget for 2018, meron po ba kayong nilagay na pondo para sa consultancy? Excuse me. Meron po ba para sa consultancy?
Tignan ko po, sir.
Sige po. Paki-check nyo lamang po kung naglagay kayo for consultancy, please.
Saan po? Sa ISSP, sir?
Hindi po, kasi yung sinabit yung pong pondo na 331 million noong 2018 saka 317 noong 2019, hindi po ko kumpleto. Kaya tinatanong ko po kung meron kayong nilagay para sa consultancy.
Meron po siya sa consultancy po, sir.
Magkano po nilagay ninyo?
Wala po yung record na breakdown for consultancy.
Sige, pakita ko po kasi yung nasa ISSP nyo po na ito po, ayan po para sa mga consultant, no? Ayan, consultancy po, makikita po niyo. Consultancy services on the documentation of the IT infrastructure, 1 million. Consultant on the assessment of PhilHealth ICT, 880,000. Meron po kayo sa consultancy for fraud prevention control, ISSP po to 12 million. Sa security assessment, consultancy services, 600,000. Ano po ba to? Isang grupo lang to, no? Ma'am? Ito po yung ISSP. Kaya ako sinasabi kasi, hindi nyo po pinadala sa atin yung kumpletong list ng procure nyo noong 2019 saka ng 2020. Kaya binabase ko na lamang po dito sa inyong ISSP yung sa consultancy. So dito, ano po yung mga kinuha ninyo, pinrocure nyo na consultancy? Kasi lumalabas po, out of 2018, meron kayong 26 million na hinanda para sa consultants. Ayan o, merong 640,000 sa Treasury Department, consultancy for Treasury Department lamang, Mr. Chairman, 540,000. IT Management Department, 880,000. Sa Controllership Department, 500,000. IT Management Department, 1 million. Consultancy to. Ha? So tanong ko, sa 2018, saka 2019, ano-ano yung mga consultants na binigyan nyo ng pondo, Mr. Chair? At any rate, kung hindi nyo masagot to, ma'am, kaya nga hinihingi po namin yung mga dokumento, Mr. Chair, para at least makita po natin kung ano yung totoo. Kasi nga, kung kulang-kulang ang dokumento ipadadala nyo po, hindi po natin makikita kung totoo sinasabi nyo o hindi. Mike po, ma'am. Mike.
Yung 2018 consulting amounted to, ito po ay galing sa bids and awards sa procurement, 29.1 million.
Magkano po?
29,139,638
29 million po for consultants lang?
for 2018. Meron po yung mga procurement, like for example,
Sandali muna. Consultant po tayo muna kasi darating po tayo sa procurement. So, ang ibig sabihin, 29 million ang nilagay niyo po sa mga consultants. Sino-sino po ang naka-receive ng 29 million sa 2018?
Sa 2018, meron pong technical assistance for the corporate dashboard, business intelligence, cloud platform, tapos yung sa data warehouse, subscription licenses.
So magkakano po yung bawat isa niyan? Ilan po yan? Ilang individual yan?
Hindi lang po to individual kasi meron sa DBM.
Meron po sa?
3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Out of that, 1, 2, 3,
Okay,
4, 5.
ganito na lang po.
Meron
Mr.
sa
Chair, meron pa
DBM.
po ba tayong isang hearing pa?
Speaker Fernandez, the discussion in the thread, yung ating mga pag-uusap is that we may have 2 more hearings before
Okay,
we find
kasi nga po, Mr. Chair, hindi nila kumpleto lagi yung pagsasubmit ng mga dokumento. Kaya kaninang umaga ka lang natin na-receive yung ibang mga documents na dinala nila, kulang pa. Ito ang hinahanap natin, yung mga consultant. Katulad dito, 2018, nagbigay sila ng 29 million para sa consultant na kung saan ay hindi natin alam kung saan nila binigay. Sa 2019 po, ilan ng consultant na nilagay po ninyo? Magkano po?
Sa 2019, 3 lang po, puro PSTBM. Under, ano po yun? Kasi under the IT consultancy services, 3 lang po. 19.9 million under PSTBM.
19, ano po?
19.9 million.
19.5 million per consultant? 3 lang?
Sir, iko-correct ko lang. Hindi ito individual na tao. Kasi pag sinasabing consultancy,
Naintindihan po
meron
natin
tong
yan.
as a project.
Naintindihan po natin. Pero meron pong pinaka-head dyan. At syempre yung head, ang consultant naman ay humihingi lamang po kayo ng advice eh. Humihingi lamang po kayo ng tamang kaalaman.
Sir, siguro may ano lang po. Kasi under the consultancy, hindi siya
Are these all negotiated
individual
or not?
consultant.
Are these all negotiated or binid po ninyo?
Meron po sa PSDBM.
Ha?
PSDBM po.
Sa PSDBM. Ibig sabihin,
Meron pong PSDBM.
hindi po. Ang tinatanong ko po, ang ibig nyo sabihin yung procurement na kinukuha nyo sa PSDBM. Pero hindi po to, consultant po to, ha?
Opo.
Oh,
Kasi
hindi po to
yung
supply.
sa term na
Services po to,
consultancy,
Mr. Mamabita sa Aragona.
Yes po.
Yung sa PSDBM po, supply po yon.
And,
Ang consultant po, mga tao, services po to. Are these all bidded or negotiated?
Sir, can I clarify lang po? Yung consultancy kasi, meron siyang subscription under the consulting.
Iba pa yung subscription.
Okay po.
Siya ba
sige
si
po.
Gabuya? Ikaw po si
Sige,
Gabuya?
if you are...
Excuse me, ma'am. Siya po ba si Mr. Gabuya?
Sige po.
Yes, okay. Okay, sige, later on tatanungin kita, Mr. Gabuya. Ma'am, sige po. So in other words, we have 29 million for consultancy para po sa IT project po ninyo. Iba-iba po to. 2019, ganun din po, 19.5 million. 2020, sige, magkano po ang consultancy po natin?
Wala pa po.
Wala pa po. O sige. Can you kindly submit me all the documents with regards sa mga consultants na lahat ng to, kung paano po bin-breakdown to sa grupong ito, ha? Para at least sa susunod na hearing saka na lang po natin pag-usapan dahil nauubos po yung oras natin dito. Anyway, dito po sa pagdating po sa sinubmit niyo po sa amin, ano? Pakikita ko lamang sa inyo, Ma'am Jovita Aragona, na lagay lang po natin sa sa projector. Mr. Chairman, ilalagay ko lamang po sa projector itong mga dokumento natin para mas maliwanag po.
Pwede ko nating i-share yung share screen, please.
Okay. Sige po, sandali lang. Ito po, Ma'am Aragona. Pakikita ko po ito. Sinubmit nyo po ito sa amin. Nabid nyo na po ito 2018 po. Meron po tayong bidded sa inyo na desktop. Ang desktop po nagkakahalaga ng 6.9 million, no? 6.9 million. At dito po, ang nanalong bidder ay yung Masangkay Computer Center. At ang notice of award ay nung February 2019. At yung pong notice to proceed is June 4, 2019. Okay. So 6.9 million, aware kayo dito, 2018 to, ma'am.
Ma'am, can you use your mic?
Mic, please.
Can I refer this to our senior manager, Alex Gabuya?
Sige, Alex Gabuya. Sige. Okay. Tanda mo itong 6.9 million na biniding ninyo? Yes or no? 2018.
Sorry sir, hindi ko po matandaan. Siguro po yung meron kaming SBAC.
Ano ba ang posisyon nyo sa PhilHealth?
Acting Senior Manager po ng IT Management Department.
Okay. Sige, i-remind kita. 6.9 ang binili nyo. Yan sa kasunod na slide, makikita nyo kung anong klase yung binili ninyo. Yan. Yan ilagay nyo sa PhilJebs. Gumawa kayo ng bid documents noong January 2018. Ang pinos nyo is 6th Gen i5. Okay? Maliwanag. Ngayon, ang nanalo si Masangkay. Ayan, galing sa inyo yan. Masangkay Computer Center. 6.9. At bumili kayo ng 111 units ng desktop. Pag dinivide mo yung 6.9 million sa 111 units, pumapatak yan 62,000 each. Tama ba ginawa ninyo, Mr. Gabuya? Desktop, 62,000. Tapos, ang mabigat sa ginawa ninyo, Mr. Gabuya, babalikan natin itong inyong...
Before that, Deputy Fernandez, can you reply?
Ha?
Will the resource person reply? Sino yun? Si Engineer
Sino ba?
Gabuya.
I thought you're Gabuya.
Ayun pala, go ahead.
Ayan na, andyan siya. Siya tinatanong ko. So, Mr. Chair, siya po...
Can you reply? Kasi kanina sinasabi mo hindi mo alam.
Yung pong detalye po hindi ko po alam. Ito pong specifications, alam ko.
Okay. Yung specification, nung nilagay nyo to, 2018, 6th gen, i5. Nung panahong 2018, ang uso na dyan, 8th gen. Kumbaga, bumibili kayo ng lupa, ng luma. Nagpo-procure kayo ng lumang mga desktops. At ang isa pang malaking pagkakamali nyo at dumalabag kayo sa batas dahil sinasabi ng batas under General Appropriation Act of 2018, dapat nagpo-procure kayo sa PSDBM na kanina sinabi ni Ma'am Obita Aragona. Bakit kayo nag-bid pero ang sinasabi ng batas doon kayo magpo-procure sa PSDBM? Bakit?
Sir, sa IT Management Department po, wala pong kinalaman sa kung saang ibibid. Yun po yung sa...
Ano, no? Paano?
Yung pong pagbibid po, kung saan ibibid, kung public bid, yung mode po ng procurement, sa ano po yun, sa Bids and Awards Committee po. So, wala po sa IT.
Wala sa IT.
Wala po. Sa Bids and Awards Committee po yung mode.
Sino ang nag-submit noong mga preparation? Di ba IT department?
Yes po, sir.
Oh.
Correct po.
Sino may command responsibility? Si Ma'am Opita Aragona being the head of the IT sector. Bakit kayo magsasalang sa bid committee nang hindi manggagaling sa inyo? Sa inyo nang gagaling, sa inyo nagsisimula. Kayo ang nagpe-prepara, dinadala ninyo sa bids committee, at sila ang nagpa-process. Ngayon, okay. Isa pang nagugulat ako na ito una, mali na, dahil sinasabi sa PSDBM, ang PSDBM po, Mr. Chairman, yan po yung tinatawag po natin na lahat po ng supply ng gobyerno, meron po silang specific na presyo. At kumbaga, doon lang po tayo dapat bumili tayo mga ahensya ng gobyerno. As a matter of fact, miski tayo, dito sa Kongreso, kung bibili ka ng laptop, bibili ka ng desktop, bibili ka ng pad, bibili ka ng mga bond paper, lahat yan, doon mo kukunin. But dito, you have violated the law dahil nag-bid kayo. Ang mabigat, Mr. Chairman, yung nanalo sa inyong bidder, yung Masangkay Computer Center, blacklisted na sa inyo. Noong 2015 pa. Tapos, pinanalo pa ninyo. Ano masasagot niyo dito, Ma'am Aragona?
Actually, sir, yung pagbibid na nasa procurement namin yun sa Bids and Award, tama po, yung specification manggagaling po sa amin. Meron pong terms of reference. So generic po yung terms of reference na yon. So yun yung inaaprubahan ko sa level ko. So tapos ifo-forward ko yun sa IT, sa kanila for the canvas. And then it proceeds to the to the bidding process ng back namin.
So hindi nyo ba chinecheck, Ma'am Obita Aragona, na yung bang binibili nyo mga desktop, luma?
Ito po, baka kasi may revision 1, revision 2 kami ng ISSP. Meron yung revision yung unang-una, Tapos pag may update yan, may revision 1 and then revision 2.
Ma'am Maragona, yung tanong po ni Deputy Speaker Fernandez, sige, andito po ba yung Bids and Awards Committee natin? Kasi pagka tinanong mo na ng presyo, ililipat ka sa Bids and Awards Committee.
Oo.
Pag tinanong mo naman ng policy, iniiba na naman. Ang tanong ni Deputy Speaker Fernandez, bakit luma ang ginamit yung specifications?
Yun po yung minimum kasi yun na ano namin na tech specs. Binabago po namin every year po namin binabago po yan.
Hindi. Okay. Paano naging minimum yon, Mr. Gabuya? Noong 2018, dun nyo nilagay sa PhilJebs. Gumawa kayo ng dokumento, sinabi nyo na ito ang bibili namin. 6th Gen i5. Noong 2018, 8th Gen na tayo. Parang ganito. Ako may cellphone, iPhone 11. Okay? Ngayong taon na to. Ibibid ko to. Bibili ako. Ba't ko ibibid yung iPhone 9? Luma na yun. Pero, ang presyo na pinanalo nila ay yung presyo ng taong yun.
Deputy Speaker Fernandez, tama ba yung analysis ni Deputy Speaker na, or sa aking pagkakaintindi, pagka ginawa ninyong mas mababa ang specification, if later on, mas mataas yung kalidad niya, ay pwede nyo nang itaas ang presyo?
Yung pong specifications namin is minimum requirement po yun. So pwede siyang mag-bid po ng mas mataas.
Kaya nga, policy kayo, pupunta sa Bids and Award.
Opo.
Pagka kumbaga po sa cellphone, ang binigay ninyo na cellphone ay mababang klase, pagka po ginawa ng committee na in-increase ang quality, then they can increase the price.
Hindi na po kasi may ano po siya, may ABC po siya. Ibig sabihin, hindi dapat siya tataas dun sa approved budget for the contract. Hindi siya pwedeng magtaas po.
Mr. Chairman, in the first place, yung sinasabi nilang minimum specification, hindi na po dapat nangyari yan. Kasi sinasabi nga na sa GAA, pakikita ko. Ayan po sa ito muna sa ayan. Ano sinasabi ng 2018 General Appropriation Act? Section 23. Use and procurement of information technology equipment, the amounts authorized in this act for information and communication technology shall be used for the provision of personal computers, inclusive of operation system, basic software and other essential electronic devices to their respective official and employees.
Deputy Speaker
Said
Fernandez.
ICT equipment shall be procured exclusively from the procurement service, which is a DBM. Bakit kayo nag-bid? Samantalang sinasabi dito, kunin nyo na, doon nyo bayaran sa PS-DBM kasi doon, mura. Mr. Chairman, gusto ko lang mapakita sa inyo. Yung next slide.
Gusto ko lang itanong sa'yo, kasi di ba, kung nag-bid sila ng ganun, at ganun nga ang binigay na specification, dahil sinasabi mo obsolete na yun, edi wala din kwenta.
Opo. Parang iPhone 11 ngayon. Tapos ang ang uso na sa panahon na to, binili mo yung iPhone 8. Yun ang ginamit mo. So, yung features nung ngayong panahong to, na binili na sila sa ganitong presyo, lugi na ang gobyerno.
So, ang iPhone 11 na presyo, pero yung mas luma na iPhone
8 ang binayaran nila.
Ang binayaran nila.
Ito nga, Mr. Chairman, pakikita ko lang sa inyo. Kasi ito
Okay,
nga
go ahead.
yung presyo nung ginawa nilang pagbili. Ayan maliwanag Ayan tingnan nyo dyan sa, desktop computer, sabi ng PS-DBM, unit price, 39,208. Pero kayo, ang binayaran nyo sa masangkay, 62,000. 111 units, 6.9 million. Mr. Chairman, ang dami na po nilang binabiolate. Binviolate na nila po ang General Appropriation Act of 2018, Section 23. Binviolate din po nila yung National Payment System Act. Nag-violate din po sila dun sa Republic Act 1103, 11023. Hindi ko alam kung saan kayo pupulutin dito, PhilHealth officials, Nakakalungkot kasi nga tayo mga nasa gobyerno dapat nagpapatupad ng batas pero it seems na hindi natin sinusunod. kung ano nakatakda sa batas.
Deputy
Basic
Speaker
to sa
Fernandez.
Republic Act 9184, napaka-basic to Dapat alam niyo to kasi si Ma'am Aragonas, kayo man mismo, sinabi ninyo dito that you have complied with our Republic Act 9184. At bumibili kayo sa PSDBM, binanggit nyo kanina, PSDBM. Yung nga lang, mali pagkakasabi nyo, hindi mga consultants ang kinukuha sa PSDBM, mga supplies. Pero yung services, hindi.
Last
Sige po.
question, Deputy.
Subscription licenses.
Sige po, ma'am. Go ahead.
Yung sa PSDBM, meron din po mga subscription licenses na available po.
Ma'am, ulit po. Pasensya na po. Sige po. Pakiulit po yung sagot po, ma'am.
Yung sa consultancy categorized, meron din pong mga subscription other than the supplies. Kasi meron din pong licenses, subscription.
Pero iba po ang subscription sa consultancy, Ma'am Mobita Aragona. At any rate, Mr. Chairman, yun lang po. Gusto ko lamang pong muli i-remind ang ating pong mga PhilHealth officials yung pong... well, Mr. Chairman, ang nakikita lang po natin yung pong sa desktop. Sa 7 million lang po yun kasi hindi po yung kumpleto yung mga detalye ng utilized yung pondo, hindi nyo pinadala sa akin detalye. Mr. Gabuya, can you kindly give us the detailed lahat? Pati yung mga scanner na binili nyo, pati yung mga projector na mga binili nyo. Dahil sa ISSP nyo, Ma'am Hobita, masyadong panay overprice yung lahat ng mga nakalagay doon. So gusto lang namin malaman sa 2018, 2019, 2020 na procurement ninyo, makita natin ang difference talaga ng mga binili po ninyong mga IT equipment. At any rate, Mr. Chairman, kay Mr. Lim siya ako. Rene, kasi nga kanina, sinasabi mo kanina, nung huli tayong nag-usap, sinabi mo na 146 billion lang yung ating nakukuha sa premium. Pero yung dokumento pinadala mo, 151 billion. Tapos dito meron pang isang document ulit, 136 billion. Ito, kompleto, galing sa inyo to. So, bakit iba-iba yung mga pinadadala nyo talaga sa amin? Hindi namin kasi ngayon makompute ng tama
Mr. Chair, Your Honor.
Go ahead.
Mr. Chair, Your Honor, ang sinabi po natin na 146 billion, Your Honor, that is premium income po. Premium income siya. Now, yung 151 billion, Your Honor, that is, I think, nakuha po sa statement cash flow, that is cash received, Your Honor. Ibig sabihin, ang premium income ay nasa income statement, Your Honor.
Sir, Renato, ang pinag-uusapan natin as of December 31, 2019,
Yes, po,
ayan, maliwanag, as of December 31, 2019, 136 billion yung na-receive natin sa premium. Tapos, ito, meron pa isa, actual, 151 billion. Tapos, sinabi mo, nung nag-uusap tayo, 146 billion naman. So, ano ba talaga ang totoo? 146, 151, o 136?
Okay, Mr. Chair, Your Honor, the actual cost na na-receive natin sa premium ay 151 billion, Your Honor.
Okay.
Pero yung premium income, Your Honor, na-record natin as of December 31 is 146 billion, Your Honor.
So, itong 151 hanggang ngayon?
Hanggang December 31, Your Honor. Iba po yung premium income sa premium actually collected, Your Honor.
Okay. So, magkano yung napapapunta sa pagbabayad noong 2019? Kung meron kang 146, magkano napapunta doon sa bayad?
Mr. Chair,
Huwag mo isasama yung asset, wala yung wala yung asset, wala yung time deposit, wala yung security, wala lahat 'yon. Yun na papunta lang sa bayad.
Mr. Chair, Your Honor, ang benefit payment ng claims po natin as of December 31 po, yung cash mismo based sa FS po natin ay nasa 98.6 billion, Your Honor.
Honorable Fernandez.
98.6 billion. Mr. Chairman,
can you kindly wrap up?
Okay. 98.6 billion. Pero sinabi mo nung huli, 111. Ano yung 111? Yun yung debt.
Mr. Chair, Your Honor, the 111 is our liability.
Liability. So yung liability, pag sinabi mo, yun yung dapat nating bayaran sa mga hospital, sa mga HCIs. Yan ba yun?
Mr. Chair, Your Honor, the 111 billion ay comprising of current liabilities and
Sige.
non-current. Ibig sabihin, yung benefit claims po ay kasama po dyan sa 111 po. Yung babayaran po natin na kumbaga on process as of December 31 ay nasa 21 billion, Your Honor. Because doon sa ating benefit claims payable, kasama din po dyan yung mga claims na na-estimate ng ating actuary na nandoon pa sa ating mga hospitals, Your Honor. Because nasabi nga sa ating palisiya that ang hospital po ay mayroon 60 days po na mag-submit ng claim sa atin. So, in-estimate lang po yan ng ating actuary po.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, so pakibigay mo na rin sa akin yung pinag-uusapan natin ngayon, no? About dun sa source of funds na binabayad natin sa mga claim ng mga hospital para mabalansin natin talaga yung mga numero. For the meantime, Mr. Chairman, yun na muna. Since meron pa naman po tayong dalawang hearing, maraming po salamat. At muli po, magandang hapon po sa inyo lahat.
Thank you so much, Deputy Speaker Dan Fernandez. At sana po yung pong inyong pagtutuligsa doon sa computerization ay mabigyang linaw pa sa darating na mga hearing. Because hindi lang po yan yung mismong purchase, kung hindi yung systems ng PhilHealth na makakatulong sa ating koleksyon at pagbayad. Yung overpayment, pagka na-correct po natin yan sa ating IT technology, maayos din po. So now we proceed to the Honorable, our Deputy Majority Leader, Bernadette Herrera D. is recognized. Congresswoman BHD.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Magandang hapon po sa inyong lahat. Well, sisigundahan ko yung unang katanungan ni Congressman Remulla at saka ni Congressman Marcoleta, yung tungkol dun sa kung bakit bumababa yung nagiging qualifications ng ating mga SVP. So gusto kong tanungin, I don't know kung si SVP Mas ang pwedeng sumagot sa akin, Mr. Chair. Tama ba tong impormasyon na nakarating sa akin na yung EVP and COO position, iba yung requirements nung December 2019 at iba yung naging requirements nung February 2020 nung na-appoint si Mr. Arnel De Jesus?
Will be responding.
Mr. Chair, SVP Dennis Mas of Management Services Sector.
SVP Dennis Mas recognized.
Doon ma'am, ay hindi ko narinig. Yung
Okay.
regarding...
I'll repeat the question.
Thank
It
you,
has
ma'am.
reached my office na yung requirement for EVP and COO iba nung December 2019 at naiba nung February 2020 nung na-appoint si Mr. Arnel De Jesus.
Sige ma'am, yung ano na yan, yung issue na i-covered ng Civil Service Resolution 2000282, no? Ang president ng PhilHealth after niya manifest sa PhilHealth Board ay nag-request sa adjustment sa qualification standards ng Executive Vice President and Chief Operating Officer sa grade 29 position ng PhilHealth. Sa kanyang letter ni President Ricardo Morales dated September 11, 2011, it says that the Executive Vice President, Chief Operating Officer, is the second highest position in the corporation. It is a career position tasked to oversee the development and implementation of policies and procedures on finance, operations, administrative, and other support services. However, with the implementation of UHC and approval of its IRR, the corporation will embark on its new task on health financing and ensuring financial viability through proper handling of funds coming from the different sources such as sins tax, remittance of members, funds from PAGCOR and PCSO. With this upcoming task for PhilHealth implementing UHC, the President of PhilHealth sinulat niya sa Civil Service Commission, is requesting for some changes in the qualification standards of the EVP position so that he can hire an expert in finance and fund management who possesses the qualifications needed for the position. So, sa rules naman ng CSC, nakalagay sa Omnibus Rules on Appointment and Other Human Resource Actions, ang nakalagay dito, agencies are always encouraged to set specific or higher standards for their positions, including the required competencies. These standards have been submitted to the Commission for approval, and once approved, the agencies shall uniformly and consistently adopt this in the selection and appointment of employees. The approved qualification standards shall be adopted by the Civil Service Commission in the attestation of appointments of the agency concerned. So after ma-deliberate ng Civil Service Commission in bank, no, na dito yung pirma ni Chairman Bala sa Commissioner Attorney Eileen Lizada, ang naging desisyon nila, it says here dito sa resolution, wherefore the Commission resolves to approve the amendment of the qualification standards for the EVP position of PhilHealth. So, yung dati, nandoon pa rin naman. Naging top, pero ang pagkakaiba, binigyan nila ng alternative. First, dito sa education, naging bachelor's degree in accountancy. Sa experience naman, 5 years of supervisory experience. Sa training, same, 120 hours of supervisory management training, learning and development intervention. And instead of a career service professional, ginawa nilang RA 1080, CPA. So ito po ang pag-amend ng kanyang qualification standards, which is encouraged naman ng talaga ng Civil Service Commission, ay may approval ng Civil Service Commission, no, led by Chairman Bala at Commissioner.
Yes, SVP Dens. Ang tanong ko, kailan sinulat yung letter?
Pardon, ma'am?
Kailan sinulat yung letter? Anong date?
Sinulat ni General Morales ang kanyang request sa Civil Service September 11, 2019.
So September 11, 2019.
I can provide a copy mamaya.
Yeah.
Yung kanyang yung date ng commission kung kailan ito promulgate. Promulgation nakalagay dito February 11, 2020. Kaya nung
kailan na-appoint si Mr. Arnel De Jesus?
After na nito, ma'am.
Precisely. So, parang ginawa natin, we suit the requirements of Mr. De Jesus para lamang siya ang ma-appoint na COO. Kasi parang biglang all of a sudden, di-downgrade natin. Because ang sabi mo sa akin, dapat, yung sa binasa mo, dapat ina-upgrade natin yung qualification standards. Pero ang tingin ko kasi dito, tinanggal nyo yung civil service eligibility, tapos ginawa nyo na lang master's degree, para makapasok sa posisyon. Kasi parang very specific and very timely eh. Meron tayong gustong ipasok, pero September, tas all of a sudden, February, napalitan na kaagad ng Civil Service Commission. As of December 2019, parehas pa rin ang eligibility requirements ng Civil Service. Tapos bigla, February 2020, na-downgrade yung qualification, and then all of a sudden, Mr. Arnel De Jesus was appointed. So I just cannot help but think na sinut nyo yung requirements nyo just to be able to appoint this person.
Decision po yan, ma'am, ng President and CEO ng PhilHealth at saka yan naman ay na-manifest sa board meeting ng PhilHealth Board of Directors.
Well, I'm just trying to point that out, Mr. Chair, and to our colleagues na I don't know why we are downgrading the requirements of our officers of a very, of a corporation that a lot of people are relying heavily on. Number 2, SVP Mas, totoo ba na napalitan din yung executive and managerial offices, ginawang non-station specific? Ginawang non-station specific. Kaya maraming, kahit maliit lamang ang experience or mababa ang experience, ay nailagay sila sa SVP position.
Yan yung mga qualification standards po natin, Your Honor. Nung araw pa po yan. Hindi yan talaga napalitan. So sa mga executive managerial officers ng corporation, standard talaga yan, 120 hours of training and management supervision, 5 years of experience in